I'm going to set the stage for you.
Mm-hmm.
The year is 2016.
Okay.
Two things, importantly, happened in 2016.
All right.
The first thing is that, unfortunately, philanderer and con man Donald Trump wins his first presidential bid.
Wow. Future
Future king of America.
Yeah.
Donald piece of shit. Yeah. Anyway, he wins
Okay.
the presidential race in 2016.
Yeah.
And that sucked. But
Unfortunate.
then the exact opposite, as bad as that is, in good, the band Ghost wins a Grammy for the song Cerise off of their album Meliora.
That's good.
As how I am introduced to that band.
Okay.
Is through the video of them performing He Is at the Grammys with Papa 3 and the big like marionette projection behind him. That's how I'm introduced to that band. How are you introduced to that band?
Funnily enough, Bug is who introduced me to that band.
Now, Bug, when you say Bug, you're talking about Bugless, who was in our Halloween episode.
Yeah. That's his full name.
Yeah.
His legal name.
his full name is Bugless McInsect.
We were, I was over at his place and we were going to another concert for our favorite band. He and I think I can speak for him on this. Our favorite band is Coheed and Cambria.
Okay.
Prog rock band. Before we left for the concert, because I had like gone over, stayed the night, we were going to get up and drive, it was out of town. And, he was like, "Oh, I've been listening to this new band. I just kind of found them. I just want to show you." And so he showed me the music video for Cerise.
Okay.
And I was immediately hooked.
Yeah.
Because it is shot like, for those who haven't seen it, it gives very much 70s Brian De Palma Carrie vibes.
Sure.
It is little kids at a talent show, but like it looks like it's shot on film. It looks like it's shot on like scratchy film stock from the 70s.
All of those like Papa 3, really those big songs that kind of kickstart that band into like where they are now, which is obviously the fucking stratosphere. I love those music videos so much. One of my favorite music videos of all time is Square Hammer. Which if you haven't seen it, you should. I mean, they're great. It's great music anyway, but you should watch the music videos because they're really fun. But the music video for Square Hammer is they are watching a movie in a cell of a giant papa, and then they come outside, and then it is happening in real life.
Right,
and they're
right.
being attacked. They being Papa and the ghouls are being attacked by a giant papa. It's a lot of fun. All of that to say, I have had a like kind of a rocky time with seeing the band live. Now, obviously, the issue is concert ticket prices. But there was a time through Bugless, he got pre-release tickets that were awesome.
Yeah.
And it was the amphitheater in Tampa. Amazing seats. Like, I mean, you could probably throw a shoe hard enough and, hit George Bush. But it was, everything's coming up. It looks great. Carly and I are like talking about like, oh, we'll get a hotel and yada, yada. And everybody's making plans. And then because it was in August, no hurricanes came the rest of the year in this area. Not even a fucking tropical storm. But the weekend they were supposed to be here, it rained out because of a hurricane and they canceled that show. We did get to see their we review films on this podcast. And they did a concert film, which was, they called it Right Here, Right Now. And unlike a lot of concert movies, it has like a story. And maybe one day we'll even talk about it.
Everything they do has a narrative.
And the narrative is silly and kooky. I don't care. There is so much hate that goes. It's a lot of people in like the late 60s and 70s hated on the band Kiss, which I don't really care for the band, but that's not the point. They hated on them because they're like, well, you're all wearing like, crazy outfits and like, why they don't sound metal. They're dressed, but then they're playing disco. And it's like, first of all, who cares? Don't gatekeep. That's stupid. And second of all,
Disco is awesome.
Disco is awesome. ABBA stands like always be badass, but
You know it.
But so Ghost gets a lot of flack. But number one, Satan, super cool.
Metal AF.
But aesthetically, now it's like they're kind of more in line for the album that's just come out. Because they very recently released a new album that I think you and I both like a great deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that begs the question, do we at one point review the album like we would a movie and become so pompous and arrogant in our discussion of now albums as well that we implode into a black hole? Good whatever time of day it is where you are listening to the Third Channel Podcast, and welcome to the Third Channel Podcast,
where we delve into the horror franchises you love from the perspectives of a lifelong horror fan
and a newbie to the genre. I'm PJ.
And I'm Derek.
And today, the only thing we're here to talk about is horror. See, like I said last week, I'm just going to make that longer and longer until eventually what happens is you start the episode and we get to right there and then the episode just ends. It's like there's like a 2.5 hour long track and right at the end you hear me like, and that it cuts out.
It's like a hidden track on an album.
Yeah, and if you play it backwards, it's also silent.
Oh. Some people might actually like that more than our discussions.
Yeah. Most people is what I would argue. So I want to get some housekeeping out of the way.
Okay.
And you'll notice I haven't said the name of the movie. It's because I don't want to. So the housekeeping, the only bit of housekeeping that I have is my brother Alistair, who was on with us for Child's Play.
Yeah.
Has recently started a streaming schedule where he live streams video games. And I am also doing that with him. We are streaming a game called Stranded Deep, which is like a kind of island survival game.
Yeah, it seemed, from what I've witnessed, it seems a little bit like Lost.
Oh, God.
The ABC series.
Alistair put a poll out and was like, what's the best island thing ever? Like the best island show.
Gilligan's Island, yeah. Lost, Survivor,
SpongeBob, I think he threw on there. But the whole time, Belle is just sitting next to me and I was like, Lost is still winning. Oh yeah. For context to that joke, listeners, in case you don't know, Derek and Carly love Lost and I fucking hate that show so much. So the bit is that they constantly want me to, as Derek says, experience Lost.
Yeah, you don't just watch Lost, you experience it.
And I don't want to ever experience it again. It's like you also experience the smell of death. And I don't want to I'm not a huge fan of that either. But it's weird to cut from smell of death to Alistair and I are streaming, but that's...
Well, just think about how bad you guys must smell on that island.
Oof. How bad we smell in real life too. You're lucky that you can only hear me. We have, I think coming up here this week, which this will have long passed, but if you want info, Alistair Graves is the name of his YouTube channel.
I think it's A Graves MC. Probably
is the name of the actual @ for the channel. But we stream in the evening time typically. And what's funny is the general idea was that we would stream and we would both talk about like our likes and the things that like the shows that Alistair's doing or like what we're talking about on this podcast, kind of like a way to cross promote and just to have a lot of fun and kind of theme it. But the game is so like, and it's great. It's a lot of fun, but it's so goddamn frustrating. You're getting bit by snakes and like
that's one of my favorite things. Cause okay, so while you guys have been streaming, I tend to hop on from the third channel, our YouTube channel, and troll in the comments. But my favorite thing witnessing you guys playing is like you'll be running around building something or harvesting something or whatever, and then one of you like freaks out because you got attacked by a crab.
Yeah, the fucking crabs, dude. And
some of them are big.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Some of them were big. And then the funniest thing that happened is the very first time he and I streamed the game, we leave the island that you start on and we get to a completely different island. And we're like, okay, this is clearly how you play the game. You just go from island to island to island. We did not know that that's not how you play the game. And on the second island, I am on it. My feet are on the ground for a minute. And in that minute, I am attacked by a boar. I am attacked by a giant crab. And then I'm bitten by a snake. And I bleed to death. And it was just like, obviously we've calibrated. Now we have like a jungle paradise.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check us out. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way for us to help promote him and his shows, for him to help promote us and our show. Obviously, we want to have him back on as a guest at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my bit of housekeeping. I don't know if you have anything.
The only bit of housekeeping that I think I have is something that I realized on a re-listen through our episode for Halloween 2. Is in our discussion of Halloween 4, we were talking about how like Jamie Lloyd, who is played by Danielle Harris, who's like kind of our little, heroine, if you will.
Our little final girl.
Yeah.
The cutest little final girl this side of the Mississippi.
Yeah. She is Laurie Strode's daughter. And Laurie Strode has died
but she's not Jamie Strode.
Right. She's Jamie Lloyd. And it's like, okay, well, what's the story there? Why is she Jamie Lloyd?
Did you find the Lloyd?
I think I figured it out.
Is it Christopher Lloyd?
It is.
Oh my God.
There's a crossover with Back to the Future.
That's why he's not around, because he's currently in the future.
So Jimmy Lloyd is the name of the paramedic who flirts with Laurie in Halloween 2.
So the young dude who slips in the blood.
Yeah. Who in the movie, as we see it, the theatrical cut, he comes out to the car, he goes to start it and then like passes out and he seemingly dies. But in the alternate ending to that movie, whenever she's loaded into the ambulance, he then pops up in the ambulance as well, having been rescued.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means that like canonically he didn't die.
It's like the people writing were like, well, who would Jamie have had a child with? And it's like, well, there's only the one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. He's like kind of darker haired and like kind of darker eyed, and so is Jamie. So I guess that makes sense. Good work.
Yeah.
That's the kind of sleuthing that you can expect here from your hosts of the Third Channel podcast.
Yeah, you're obsessive hosts.
Well, the thing is, obsessive means quality in this industry.
Good.
Unfortunately, everybody, that's the house game. Okay, hold on, because I do want to take a beat here to say I'm genuinely impressed by that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
If you're listening, that's worth at least like a plus sign, or I don't know, whatever the verbiage is.
Yeah.
Smash whatever button on whatever platform.
Yeah.
And tell people, shout it from the mountaintops. I recently have been going into like dentist's office or places where people are in a precarious situation where they can't really leave. They're in surgery, but they've got like the IV in or whatever. They're not they're not in the OR yet, but they're like in the triage room.
Or like they're giving blood, like they're at a blood mobile and they can't leave. They got to sit there for like 30 minutes.
Right. And I get like centimeters away from their face. I'm like, hey, you listen to me, you son of a bitch. Like, what the fuck is happening? And then I've got a stamp that has our podcast name on it. I stamp them in the forehead and they can't read it.
Yeah, like that doesn't help them at all.
And then they get in the mirror and they're like, this is backwards.
The whole thing, just none of it works.
Okay. I think that's all the fun that we can have. This is, you and I said this after our most recent rewatch of the film that we're discussing today. You and I on this show have really been good about taking shit and spinning it into yarn, not gold every time, but at least a serviceable fabric. This is beyond the Scream 3 or the Child's Play 3, the weakest movies in the franchises that we have discussed so far. This is different.
Yes.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, your horror took me this long to finally finish that point.
Oh.
Today's horror comes in the variety of Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This isn't like those movies where Child's Play 3 is bad because its pacing is all over the place and tonally it doesn't make a lot of sense.
The setting is weird.
Right. It is fun. It is a lot of fun.
And the practical effects are good.
Right. There is almost nothing good about this movie. I would say that we are now, which is funny because Halloween, baby, this is the mountaintop. This is Michael Myers. That's the king of the season. That theme song is ubiquitous with the fucking fall. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we've gotten to one of these movies where I don't think I have anything positive to say. I think I've got like the obvious, which is Daniel Harris and Donald Pleasance are both, I'm not even going to say great because they both, Daniel Harris.
They're unfortunately having to give far different performances than they even gave in 4.
Right. And they're at odds with each other. Like their characters are at odds with each other. So you don't even get like Loomis is no longer like a guardian protector, which is what I like him as because he fits that role well. It's, oh man, guys, buckle in because now we are officially going to talk about what we both did not like and consider a bad movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'm going to do my best here to treat this with a similar sense of, I don't know, reverence that I can, but I'm also going to be honest that I don't particularly care for this film.
I'm going to be honest in that fuck Mustafa Akkad during this period of time. If you're Mustafa Akkad in 1989, stop it. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, 1989, 98 minutes. Michael lives, but this time they're ready. 1 year later, Michael Myers' traumatized young niece is horrified to discover she has a telepathic bond with her evil uncle and that he is on the way back to Haddonfield to begin the carnage again. Wouldn't you believe it? The average rating for this movie, by the way, is 2.5 stars.
I think that's what I gave it when you and I watched it together initially.
My review of it right now is at a 1.5.
Yeah, I went down a half a star with these rewatches.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because we watched it again, like watching them in such quick succession behind, 1, 2, and 4, and thinking of them thematically in this series, in this franchise, that this is the next one.
Yeah.
It takes a hit.
It's just trying to get to the oasis and having to crawl through sand. Every franchise has them. Eventually we're going to have to talk about fucking Jason Goes to Hell. Yeah. Eventually we're going to have to talk about Freddy's Dead. Like we're going to always have to talk about shitty movies. The problem is that these movies aren't shitty in even a crazy way. They're shitty in a predictable and like uninspired, just boring. And I've said this a million times before on this show. The worst thing that your scary movie can be is boring, because if it's funny, then you've got Shaun of the Dead. If it's funny, you've got Bride and Seed of Chucky. Yeah. If your horror movie is, kind of child-centered, you've got things like Megan, which fits that niche. If your horror movie is, romantic, you've got whatever, Sinners kind of. You've got
it's sexy.
It is. We're gonna have to talk about Sinners, and we're gonna have to get Ty to give his unfiltered opinion on that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Producer Ty Fly Guy Ty.
Lives in our attic and works off of a single Pringle.
Right. He actually just recently released a new, I don't know if he's considering it an album, an EP, but it is on Spotify. So you can actually find his music on Spotify at Fly Guy Ty. There are 2 Y's in Fly. And this new album is 7 Ways to Fly. And it's like a 9-song album, I think. It's like fully produced.
Yeah. Well, and so a couple things to point out. Ty mixes every episode that we have. Derek and I will go through and we'll edit and kind of figure out what we do, want, can't keep, etc. in the episodes. But we send that all to Ty, who cuts the episodes together, but he also mixes our audio. So if you've ever thought, man, this sounds like a decently like professional show, that is not Derek and I. That is 100% Ty. And then also, I would feel obligated at this point to say that his record is good no matter what, because he's a personal friend.
Yeah.
He's our producer. He's involved with our show.
Yeah.
I would feel professionally and friendship wise, I would feel obligated to say it was good. Please believe me when I say friendship and obligation aside, it's really fucking good.
Yeah.
It is. I went into it like, you have that joke, check out my mixtape or whatever. It was so fucking good. There's a song on it called Causeway Cruisin' that I, with zero exaggeration, I played it, listened to it all the way through and was like, that's a really good song. Cause I used to work in, and I've mentioned that on the show before. I used to work in, it didn't matter. I used to take a causeway to get to work. So register with me. And I played it and I was like, this is so good. And the next thing you know, I'm like, guys, come here. And Carly and Luna are standing and they're like, this is really good. Who is this? And I was like, this is my friend.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I just did one of those things where like at the end of a month, you can, get an output of what you've been listening to the most on Spotify.
Yeah.
And so like my like top 10 songs from last month was just Fly Guy Ty. And Ghost's new album.
Yeah, which is funny because I figured as we're talking about Ty and you brought that up, I was like, this is a very music episode. And I was like, oh. And we also pitched, Alistair and I streaming, and it's like, oh, we just don't want to talk about this fucking movie at all. But yeah, Fly Guy Ty, two Y's in Fly. You should give it a listen.
Yeah, check it out. Okay. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Released October 13th. Of 1989.
Was it a Friday?
I mean, probably.
That'd be pretty cool.
A short year after the release of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. I will say, just to put some context out there, at the time of this release, we were up to, because we always kind of talk about these different franchises.
Yeah.
We were up to Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Jesus.
Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. And we had Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. They were only up to 2. 3 comes out the next year in 90, I believe.
God, that's gotta be almost 20 years between the original Texas Chainsaw and the second one.
Yeah, it's
or not 20 years.
There's 10 years. There's a 10-year gap.
Jesus Christ.
And then Evil Dead 2 had come out, and we had our first Child's Play.
Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, this is happening in a world where Chucky exists.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that like the other franchises there, like, you pointed out Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it took 10 years between those two. But then like the Friday movies and the Nightmare movies, they were, as soon as that first one hit, it was just like pump them out year after year after year, which is why we get to 8 before we're only at 5 of Halloween. With the Halloween franchise, it's like you have Halloween 2, that are like 3-4 years apart. And then Halloween 3 is the immediate next year from Halloween 2, 1982. And then you go several years. It's the 10-year anniversary before we get to Halloween 4. Yeah. Which also starts kind of a pattern of about every 10 years, we hit a hard reset on the Halloween franchise because H20 is 20 years later, obviously. There's not really one for 30. As close as you get to that is 2007 with Rob Zombie's Halloween remake. And then you obviously get Halloween 2018, which is 40 years. Yeah.
Which is funny because I will genuinely forget from time to time that is not called H40.
Right.
Right.
It's just become like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the movie is. Yeah.
It's the easiest way because of the naming convention, which we will tackle in a couple weeks of H2O. Okay. Halloween 5, directed by Dominique Othenin-Girard.
Damn.
He is a Swiss-French director, if I'm not mistaken. There's a few writers listed on this. One of them is Dominique. And then Michael Jacobs and Shem Bitterman. Produced by Ramsey Thomas. Our cinematographer is Robert Draper. Now, Robert Draper had worked on the Tales from the Dark Side TV show and movie. And he had done like 16 episodes of the show. Tales from the Dark Side, if you don't know, is kind of like Tales from the Crypt, which is based on old like EC comics, which is also what Creepshow is based off of. It's that whole, there's a line of comics, I don't know what era that's from, like the 50s, 60s probably?
I think it'd have to be,
60s, 70s maybe?
60s nebulously.
Yeah, because it's, they're all like, horror, eerie, creepy. They all have like those titles.
What a time to be alive.
But you get a bunch of like filmmakers who loved those comics who then go on to make TV shows and movies and stuff like that. So that's where Tales of the Dark Side comes from. So he was the cinematographer on a bunch of that. He also worked on Tales from the Crypt in the 90s. He did 7 episodes of that. He shot a horror movie called Dr. Giggles, which I've never seen. He was the cinematographer on Trucks in 97, which is a Stephen King adaptation. And then he also more recently has worked on the Creepshow TV show that's on Shudder.
Okay.
So he does a lot. Like he's worked very much in that genre of EC Comics-esque shows.
So then what the fuck was this?
I don't know.
Because this doesn't feel like that at all.
No. I would say some of it kind of the lighting does a bit look like 90s, like Tales from the Crypt stuff.
Like as soon as I said that, I thought of 3 examples where it does.
It's
like the class,
very TV look.
Like the classroom where they're painting that banner and Jamie paints Max the dog onto the banner. And then like the kind of house party thing that happens.
Oh, yeah.
Those 2 are shot very much like that.
Yeah. Our editor, there are 2 here. Charles Titoni, who worked on some horror films, Evil Speak, One Dark Night, Distant Justice, which is a 92. It has David Carradine and George Kennedy. And then the other editor is Jerry Brady, who worked on The Baltimore Bullet, which is a crime comedy from 1980, Night Angel, a horror film, and Boiling Point from 93, starring Wesley Snipes and Dennis Hopper. The budget on this film is very, very close to the $5 million that Halloween 4 budget-wise.
Very twice. 5.5.
5.5 million.
Fuck.
Man, you've been having a good couple of weeks.
You've been leading me on that. Well, that's not what I meant to say. You know what? No, I like it. You've been giving it away.
Let's turn these mics off.
Let's leave them on.
Oh my god. So box office then. Halloween 4 made 17.8 million.
Right. I'm gonna assume that this one did worse.
You would assume correctly.
I'm going to assume it did a lot worse.
Decently worse.
The first one's 17. This one, what, 12?
11.6.
Yeah, damn.
Right on the money, man. This film stands as the lowest grossing and least attended Halloween film in the franchise.
But then 6 does better?
I can't wait to try and figure that mystery out.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've ever seen any of the promotionals for 6, and I'm sure we'll get into it during that discussion. But like, even the poster for Halloween 6 is just like, it looks like somebody cut magazine pieces together and pasted them and then slapped them in front of them. I said slapped. I like it. I'm sticking with it. Don't cut this out. They slapped it onto a movie, like right on the side of the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think about that discussion and how much we've already talked about how we don't like this movie. And I fear that it's just going to be worse.
Oh, yeah. If this is it's like the worst parts of the Halloween franchise are like a cyanide tooth because you die horribly by the end of it.
Yeah.
And this is, you have pulled the molar out.
Okay.
But 6, you get that telltale crunch, you know what I mean? Of a cyanide tooth.
Okay. That's good to know. It's a good distinction to make. Our director and one of the writers, Dominique Othenin-Girard, he had worked on After Darkness in 85, Night Angel in 90. He's the director of Omen 4, The Awakening, Beyond Desire, which is an erotic thriller from 95, and he was the associate director on Halloween Kills. So somewhere in those credits, he is buried for Halloween Kills. The writer, Shim Bitterman, worked on Out of the Rain, which is a drama thriller. Peephole, that's in 93. It's a crime thriller. And then more recently, and I've seen this film, he was a writer on a movie called Betty and Coretta, which is it's a 2013 TV movie. And it's about the widows of Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay.
It's a really good movie, actually.
Okay.
And then he also was the writer on a movie called Whitney, a 2015 TV movie that's about Whitney Houston.
Weird.
Those are the things that he's done.
Then this.
Yeah, and then this in the middle. The other writer is Michael Jacobs. Worked on Certain Fury, which is a crime drama, and a movie called 315, The Moment of Truth, another crime drama.
It's weird because you've got writers now that one of them has worked on like biopics, but specifically like biopic or like biopics, like kind of nearish for women of like historical women of color. And then you've got another guy who works on crime dramas. And then so somehow in the middle of that, you have a tepid, uninspired bullshit kind of half-assed fantasy story about things we'll eventually talk about.
Producer Ramsey Thomas, he directed the movie Appointment with Fear, which was a slasher from 85. He's the production manager on Boiling Point, which is the one that stars Wesley Snipes and Dennis Hopper.
Right.
And then he also was the production manager on Stargate, the 94 movie that started the whole franchise.
Okay.
Yeah, with Kurt Russell and James Spader.
Stargate is so fucking good.
Yeah.
That is so, oh my God, this is weird. This is the most, like, I'm not saying, because you obviously do a lot of research and you do a lot of work. And I think it improves the quality of our show quite a bit. And I'm always interested to find out, because you love doing that, to watch my face when you give me like, oh, this guy did this and this. I am on the edge of my fucking seat, because it's like, who do you get to make this one?
And then why did you go on to do all these other great things? But
Right.
I guess this is the stepping stone, man. The score, again, is done by Alan Howarth. I feel like I mispronounce his name every single time, or I pronounce it differently.
That's fine, because it feels like he's mispronouncing the Halloween theme.
It does.
Yeah.
It is.
Last week I said it feels like the canned Halloween store version of all of John Carpenter's score. I mean, this is even worse.
Yeah, this is one where, like, throughout the entire movie, there are parts where he uses the Halloween score that we know, John Carpenter's score, from both Halloween and Halloween 2, different, motifs and things that come from that. But it's almost as if it's played at the wrong rhythm or off by a key. And then, like, it's the stopping and starting of it, of just like, I don't know, it just feels wrong.
Something that Bug and I were talking about while we were watching Bugless McInsect, that we were talking about the watch through of Halloween before our episode. And it was like, John Carpenter is so musically gifted. And it's not about the music that he's written, because obviously it's super inspired and it's a classic. But it's about, he's musically inspired in a way that I don't know many other people who have worked in the industry are, in that it's a way that James Gunn is very talented, which is, I know how to musically tell a story. And you never, in Halloween, you never feel like music is playing. It is just atmosphere. It doesn't sound any more alien than the wind on your ears. And in this one, you go from long periods of shitty dialogue and silence to like, what the fuck is this?
It's, he like talks
panicked
about in like one of the, because I think about the chase scene through the like basement of the children's hospital or whatever, and it seems so sporadic, and like he'll play a couple notes and then he stops and then he plays a couple notes again, but they're like too fast, and then and I think it's supposed to make it seem more frantic and like, oh my God, we're running along with her, which is what music should be doing. It builds the tension.
But you've got the fucking shape, the music from the original Halloween of that piano and the bump, 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 bump. You get the tension from that. And John has obviously, because in the opening credits, it's like music or Halloween theme by John Carpenter. So it's like, well, you're obviously using his music.
Yeah.
Or just use that song.
They've worked together before, and they work together after this as well. Like, they work on other movies. He's scored things with John so many times.
Yeah. To learn or take nothing from that is I don't know.
I don't know. They were trying something different with this one, and it did not work for me. One of our few returning actors, obviously, Donald Pleasance as Dr. Samuel Loomis.
He is drunk as hell the whole time.
Okay. I have to be really honest with you, because I know we keep saying, you keep saying that.
Yeah, and it's alleged.
It's alleged. In one of the special features I was watching last night on the Shout Factory 4K.
Oh, God.
Danielle Harris, who was a 12-year-old girl in the making of this film, did a lot of acting with Donald Pleasance, and he was like screaming in her face a lot of times and shaking her. And that's what unfortunately the roles had them doing. She makes a comment about, I didn't know until I was an older person what the smell on Donald Pleasance's breath was. And then whenever I turned 21, I learned it was bourbon.
Oh my God.
So yeah, you might be.
So I was right the whole time.
You might be onto something.
Probably not Halloween, and probably not Halloween 2. But by the time you get to 4, 5, 6, oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you can just there is a certain okay, it's not funny at all,
right.
but it is funny because we've been making this joke. There's like a sort of kind of deadened distance between his performance and like his face, and that I have been around drunk people. Everybody has. That's just what happens when you drink. That's so fucking sad.
But he does take it very, very seriously what he's doing.
Yeah, of course. He's just miserable because that's what he's doing.
And everyone had very, very kind things to say about him, his performance, and how seriously he took the work.
That's nice.
And I've got some notes buried in here of just different things that he thought that they weren't doing. They weren't doing the characters justice from what they set up with the previous film. We'll touch on that as we go. Michael Myers is played by Don Shanks in this film. He also doubles as the Man in Black. He is a Native American actor and stunt coordinator. He worked on The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams, both the film and the TV show.
Okay.
He was in a slasher film in 82 called The Ghost Dance, and another slasher from 83 called Sweet 16. He plays Santa climbing in window in Silent Night, Deadly Night in 84.
Weird.
And then later he would be in Urban Legends, Bloody Mary.
Hold on. Hold on. Go back.
Okay.
So he's Santa climbing in the window in Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Right.
And then he's Michael Myers.
Yes.
Just like the kid who played Corey in Halloween Ends, who puts on the Michael mask, is now in the remake of Silent. See, again, this is the hard-hitting journalism that you can come to expect from other people and are surprised when you hear it here on the Third Channel podcast.
That's a good connection.
Yeah.
And I'm mad that I didn't make it.
That's okay. We'll just say you did. Derek was holding up a sign the whole time. I just read that off the sign that Derek was holding up.
Yeah, Ty, cut this to make me sound like I said it. Besides the Urban Legends sequel, he was also in I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, which is the not great third entry in that franchise.
Yeah.
But both of those films are going to get remakes here shortly, or reboots. I think they might be like legacy sequels. George P. Wilbur, who had played the Shape in Halloween 4, he didn't express interest in returning apparently, but he then worked as in some stunts in this movie as well, so he was still around. Don Shanks was cast to play instead, and like I said, he had also doubled the Man in Black role.
Which, if I'm being honest, again, forgot that was in this movie.
Yes.
Until you just said it right now.
It is, this is one of the least sticky movies in your mind ever. Because I watched this twice over the last 2 days, and it's already going. I hope I took good notes.
So by you, like the least sticky mind in your mind, you mean the royal you, as in everyone?
Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
Totally unremarkable.
Believe it or not, development was very much fast tracked for this film.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead.
To meet a preset release deadline of October of 1989. So they had the release date, and they were like, "We got to make it."
Yeah, I get it.
Producer Mustafa Akkad, everybody's favorite. He had turned to Halloween 4's writer Alan B. McElroy and director Dwight Little to return for this film, but they declined because they were already working on another movie together. So Ramsey Thomas then assumed the producing responsibilities from Paul Freeman. So like the producer, the writer, and the director of Halloween 4 not available for this movie.
Yeah, of course not.
Even though they with Halloween 4, the ending pretty much sets up what this movie could be.
Yeah.
And I think they had some pretty good ideas of what it should be. And instead, none of them were available because they were like, well, you're busy right now, but we need to get this out in a year.
Their voicemails were all like, hi, you've reached so-and-so. We're in Cabo. Please don't call us again. We're taking what little money we made from the last one and fucking off.
More than likely. So Ramsey Thomas, the producer, he hired playwright Shim Bitterman as the screenwriter. And his script was entitled Halloween 5, The Killer Inside Me. And it was written apparently over the span of 3 days and featured an evil Jamie Lloyd and a resurrected Michael Myers. But Akkad wanted Michael Myers to be the sole antagonist of the film.
I fucking hate this dude at this point.
I know. The longer you go on in this, man, the more it's like, ooh, you are out for a buck. You are not out for any sort of art.
But you're out for a buck, and you think that the way you're going to get it is by peddling the most, the most gray Stillwater dribble anybody's ever heard, because that's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
An evil killer Jamie Lloyd makes sense after 4.
Right.
Moreover, resurrecting Michael also kind of makes sense because I make a point in last week's episode, listening through and editing. I was talking about how they shot him so many times that the music becomes the wild, or the score, like the ambient score becomes the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
yeah.
And it's like the bullets ricocheting, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, ding. And it's crazy how many times they shoot him. So to resurrect him like they do Friday the 13th 6
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Got to come back to life because they fucking killed him in the last one. And this one, in Mustafa Akkad's brilliance, is like, no, just need it. He's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, fuck you, dude.
He walked it off.
Well, he crawled it off.
Yeah, and then he slept for like a year, I guess.
In a house in a tree.
Okay. Bitterman, he worked on a second draft in February of 1989. And then they almost hired Jeff Burr, who was the director of From a Whisper to a Scream, which I just wanted to mention because the title of that movie is like the line in the song from the closing credits of Scream.
Okay.
But he was being courted to direct the film, but Deborah Hill had met the Swiss-French director of Dominique Othenin-Girard, hyphenated last name there, at the 1989 Sundance Film Festival and recommended him to Akkad. So after he became director, he apparently threw Bitterman's draft into the trash in front of Mustafa Akkad. And he brought in Robert Harders, who worked on a movie called Home Movies, to write an entirely new draft. And that's when they kind of added the like Frankenstein inspired storyline that still is kind of in the movie, where what we just described,
Yeah.
him living in the mountain man's house for a year, where Myers is resurrected, but it's just him. And he's being chased by an angry mob is kind of like what they were going for with that one. That was also rejected. That pitch was gone. And so then the director pitched a new concept with a co-writer, Michael Jacobs. And their initial title was Halloween 5, ellipses, and things that go bump in the night, which that's a mouthful.
And also, and Halloween 5 and thing. So you're saying it's literally Halloween 5?
Yeah.
It's not the number. It's 5 Halloweens and all. That is the most odd, clunky title.
Mm-hmm. This is where
Michael Myers teams up with a bunch of urban legends and they all spook people.
Yeah. That's probably, yeah. This is where they added Jamie's inability to speak and the supernatural link, telepathic link between her and Michael. The other kind of departure that he brought to this movie is he was attempting to persuade audiences to relate more to Michael Myers in ways of like that he's more human, which is why we have the whole scene where he's unmasked with Jamie and he cries. Did that work for you?
I swear to God, when you just said that, all I can think of is the person who's just like, maybe doesn't like this franchise as much, but just wants to listen through our episodes. Like it's filler for driving to work or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're listening to this episode and you say that and they're like, get the fuck, like they think we're making that up.
No, unfortunately.
No, Michael Myers cries, y'all. Hey, Michael Criers.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Principal photography started in May of 1989, again in Salt Lake City. They used a lot of the several of the shooting locations from Halloween 4. You see the town square outside of the drugstore, and then the Carruthers house. I believe this is the same one from Halloween 4. I will say the special effects in this film, the little bit that you kind of get to see the makeup effects, I actually enjoy. I think that that's a positive in a way. I just don't think that we get to see enough of them.
We don't get to see enough of them, and there's nothing so remarkable about them that it stands out within the genre of our show.
That's a good point. But I will say that the special makeup effects were done by K&B EFX Group, which that started the year before, 1988, started by Robert Kurtzman, Greg Nicotero, and Howard Berger. Berger, I always pronounce it wrong, which we've talked about their work on Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. But also they did the makeup for Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, and then around the same time, George A. Romero had recommended them to Deborah Hill for her film Gross Anatomy. And that was a comedy film about medical students.
Okay.
And so George Romero knew that Greg Nicotero had been like, he had a background like as a pre-med student before he got into movie effects.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
But that's why he can, he knows what body parts look like.
And knows how they react under pressure that's fantastic. That's a good fact.
And so their work, basically they were known to be able to do really good work for a little less money. But apparently their work on this film cost them more money than they had made. But it did help further establish their career, like their reputation, like very early on in this, the birth of this company, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I just really wish we got to see more of it.
Yeah. Because looking at this movie in hindsight, it's like, well, why do you need a special effects team?
Yeah.
You've got like a pitchfork that goes through a guy
and some of that. So the film went through some issues with the MPAA due to its initial graphic violence.
Yeah.
And so there were some things that were trimmed. The sequence toward the end where Jamie is in the laundry chute. Yeah. There's a point where he stabs through and like stabs into her leg, and that's cut out of the movie. There was you remember when we were watching and when Mikey is killed and the guy with the car and he falls on the ground and he's like, and I said, there was a cut there. I don't know why, but I noticed the cut. They cut literally like a few frames out of him like writhing on the ground because like that's the sort of stuff that the MPAA makes all the difference.
It's so weird.
You get to certain movies where it's like somebody gets stabbed, X amount of times and they're like, well, they can get stabbed twice, but not 5 times.
I just think of the phrase petty tyranny, especially when you hear like the horror stories of like Friday the 13th 7. Yeah. Where the creator of that movie, he used the word rape, but he's like, they ruined my movie. And you watch through that movie and any and everything. No, we don't want that. We can't have that. And just movies, especially in this era, they just suffered for it.
Yeah. The other thing that we haven't talked a ton about the posters for these movies.
No.
But this one irks me especially because the poster for Halloween 5 depicts Jamie in her clown costume
from 4.
Yeah. Which she does not wear again in this film.
Correct.
And it also depicts the Michael Myers mask from either Halloween or Halloween 2.
Right. It's Halloween. It's the original.
Not this film.
Correct. And then the next movie, the poster is literally just the title and subtitle. And then it is the mask from 1 and a knife. And that's it.
Lazy.
Michael, it will destroy you too. One day, Michael, this rage which drives you, you think if you kill them all, it will go away. It won't. You have to fight it in the place where it's strongest, where it all began. If you want to get rid of this rage, Michael, go home. Go home! Go to your house. I shall be there waiting for you. You'll find her waiting for you.
Okay. That is, and you and I had talked about finding a clip. And you were like, yeah, I was watching it again. And I was watching it with the mind of what clip do I use? And it's difficult because it all sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a good performance because it's Donald Pleasance. And you and I were talking about it. And just while we have the emotion from that clip, here's what I wanted to say about it. Because I said it to you earlier, but I think it's worth having in the episode. It is good because Donald Pleasance is a fucking movie star. He's got gravitas, and we've talked about him so much in these movies. He's wonderful. So his performance is going to be good. What he's saying, what he's setting up is stupid. The plot makes no sense. So it's like what I compared it to talking to you is it's Tim Curry in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is nonsense, and the story is stupid. And everything, like he's like, turn up the electro power magnetic conducer, what the fuck ever, and it makes no sense. But Tim Curry is great, so you like his performance. This is different, though, because where the Rocky Horror Picture Show is brightly lit and fun and colorful, this movie is drab, dreary, and the most cinematic shot of the entire thing is the reused footage of 4 that begins this movie. Now, I'm gonna get on a groove here. I'm gonna get us into I'm gonna get us past everything that we don't need to then talk about the stuff that we do.
Yeah, the only thing I want to jump in real quickly is that the opening credits themselves, I don't like. They are the last one for a while. I think it's
okay, right. We just need a tally board every time we say that. Okay, go ahead.
But I think it's the last time until maybe Halloween 2018. Where we have like a jack-o'-lantern motif. But the way that it's done is
boring.
Yeah, but it's almost as if they're trying to be like edgy. Because it's pretty much. The other thing that bothers me and I'm confused by is the name of this movie is Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
That is not the title that we see in this movie. It's just Halloween 5. There's no subtitle.
Well, it's like Bruce Campbell versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah, that is also like, but that's done in a way of like tongue is so far in cheek, it's nearly bursting out. This is just like,
you don't have a tongue.
Did you forget, or were you only going to call it Halloween 5 and then you were like, well, we'll figure out the subtitle later? But like, when did you make these titles? The sequence,
because revenge for whom? Revenge on whom and for what? Okay, and I'll expound on that. So at the end of Halloween 4, Sheriff Meeker and a band of drunk and addled Southerners, despite being in Haddonfield, Illinois.
Yeah, good old boys.
Yeah, the Proud Boys. They are proud because they shoot Michael Myers 100 times. He is filled with bullets, but he doesn't really care. So where we pick up from this, now keep in mind, that is the mask from 4. Not the pink and blonde mask, but it is the mask from 4.
Yes.
If you are a fan of our show and know me in any way, you know that the thing I'm most interested in with these movies is the fucking masks. I love them. And the reason I haven't collected one from all of the movies is because of this one, because I don't want to own this fucking mask. It is. So you go from Michael looking like he does in Halloween 4. He is shot a million times and then he goes down into like a hole.
Like a mine shaft, maybe?
Now, in zero way did it look to me that he had been shot and ran down and shot next to a raging river with like rapids and everything. But he crawls through an old mine. This is real. He is, okay, the other thing I need to mention, I fucking hate that I'm having to do this. He's hit by the car. And he is shot a bunch of times. And he looks like he does in Halloween 4. Then he takes so much Ozempic. It is an insane amount of Ozempic. His belly is destroyed, pin-cushioned, and he loses all this weight. And now this is a cool fun fact that the assumption about the way that this mask was created was that the director didn't like the kind of placid and wide-eyed look of the Michael mask and wanted something more narrow-eyed, more narrow-featured, and more aggressive looking.
Okay.
So what they did to make the mask was they molded Greg Nicotero's face and then made minor adjustments and slicked the hair back on the mask. So the mask is more or less just Greg Nicotero, which normally I would like because I like him and I like his work a lot, except it's got this big weird neck flap.
It's the neck flap that bothers me the most.
It's the neck flap. It's the hair. It's like bottle brush hair that's like crimped backwards. And he looks so fucking ugly. You know what he looks like? He looks like Professor Snape as described in the book written by that horrific turf.
Agreed.
He climbs through this mine shaft. It is like wet clay. And he climbs through and then he gets out into a raging river like Congo, like Indiana Jones swings overhead and he falls in the water and it's the laziest physical performance. It might as well have just been a dummy.
Yeah.
And it may have been, honestly.
No, it was really him. And the water was like 30 degrees.
Great. You didn't need to do that, guys. And the water he swept up in the water. And then it cuts out of nowhere to a man. And it's like, I was so confused because it's like the Swiss Family Robinson out of fucking nowhere. It's a guy wearing like a captain's hat, like a little, like a Greek gondola pilot hat. And he's in I think he's in like suspenders. He's just a weird outfit and it's a weird performance. And there's a fucking parrot. And the parrot's like, and he's like, oh, my bird. I love my bird. Mickey Rourke, my bird. And they're talking to each other. And like the camera kind of pans out because you see Michael like approaching and he's in a fucking tree.
Yeah, it's unclear. This guy is just like, I think he is credited as just Mountain Man.
Okay.
And so I don't know. He lives in this like
then maybe
shack.
It's a mountain, but the set design, it looks like a tree.
Yeah, it's like the back of the house. I think it's just the rock wall of this like hillside, which again, it didn't look like we were on.
You were also in Illinois. What do you mean? What do you mean, Mountain Man? What do you mean?
Mountain Man, okay.
He's a mountain man who lives in a goddamn tree.
Yeah.
And it's the goddamn tree it looks like the fucking Lost Boys tree from Hook. And it's like this big area and he's got a bird and Michael comes in and he goes to choke him out and then he's like, and he passes out and he's like, got blood on him. Blood, I assume from the gunshots. But if there's blood at all, why isn't it buckets? Why isn't it coming out of him like the river he just was swept up in? And the guy says nothing of importance and is just like, go to sleep, little Michael. And Michael goes to sleep. And that's how this movie fucking opens.
Yeah.
He looks completely different. He goes on a not so lazy river ride and then is absconded with by a Birdman in a tree. I immediately, because we were watching this movie the other day and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Because I remembered the mine shaft.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, why is there like a crazy Amazon rainforest river? I was like, oh, why is this man in a tree? And you looked at me and you were like, this is bad because I honestly don't remember any of this. And it's just like, oh no.
Yeah, and as of this moment, I've watched this movie about 5 times.
I've seen it now 3 times. We rewatched it twice this week, and I saw it the first time years ago when we were going through this franchise. And maybe it's just because I'd never really seen any other horror franchises, but this one didn't stick out as bad for me. It was just like, okay.
I like this one a little less every time I watch it. Whereas, like, I feel like with Scream 3, Child's Play 3, some of the other movies that we've watched where I'm like, I don't know about this one going in. And then I watch it and I'm like, actually, I like this one a bit better.
Well, the thing
this
is,
one's not that.
And I've mentioned this before, we are now watching these things pseudo academically. We're watching them for a dissection of them later. And I think the reason I dislike this one so much is I'm looking at it and I'm like blank. It's like, what the fuck do you talk about here? You can talk about the ineptitude, sure, but I also worry that will make for a boring discussion.
Yeah.
But so at the point where Michael is asleep, and it's, you know, you made a mention of like a comparison to the Frankenstein story. And
it's in Bride of Frankenstein.
Right.
Where Frankenstein's monster, after the events of the first film, in a very similar fashion, he finds an old blind man.
Also in one of the funniest scenes of Young Frankenstein.
Right.
Where he spills soup onto Frankenstein's lap, and that's fucking hysterical.
But it's very much based around that whole little scenario.
And I can kind of see how you can translate Michael Myers into Frankenstein from a narrative perspective. I can kind of see it. A misunderstood monster that is a kind of a creation of a failure of science or science going too far. His therapist has filled his head with whatever. You could do a fun twist and kind of turn Michael maybe misunderstood, or maybe you think that and then the rug gets pulled or whatever. But this is the only thing they took from that it's. Speaking of that horrible TERF, who is just the worst person ever, but wrote a really charming series of books that I very much love. A piece of criticism that I've often had with those is Snape being a good person at the end.
Right.
Is like Snape being this redeemed spy who did love his mom and was always protecting of him. And it feels very like, because as you go through those books, he's like horribly cruel to all of these kids. At one point, he makes fun of Hermione's teeth, and like he's just a terrible person, wall to wall. And it's like J.K. Rowling had the idea of like, I'm a terrible person, and I also think that this would be a good ending to this story is if Snape turns out to be a good guy, but without making the series do that naturally, just went, oh, I'm going to get there, and then wrote to that conclusion. And that's what this feels like is, well, we want it to have some Frankenstein shit in it still. So I guess we'll just write a scene where he meets an old man. Okay. But it serves no purpose.
Yeah. And like this scene is a little different. There was in the original screenplay, it was a younger hermit who takes Michael in. And like his same sort of thing, like weird shack that's full of like runes and occult things, and he's doing rituals and stuff.
But like at the point where your film is pseudo like fiction, like is pseudo like fantasy, and you have curses and magic, that makes sense. The other thing is you said takes him in as your verbiage for the old man taking him in. That doesn't happen here.
No.
You don't get that shot of like, there is somebody who is taking care of Michael who wants to rehabilitate him, which would also kind of be interesting. That doesn't happen. Michael tries to kill him and then passes out, assumedly in his only bed.
Yeah.
And then assumedly for the next year, that guy's like, well, Squawky, I'm sleeping with you.
Yeah. The bird's name is Tukey.
That's a good bird name.
Yeah. But that original, they actually shot with the younger hermit, and a lot of that footage they thought was lost for several years, and they finally pieced together, and it's on the Shout Factory 4K release. So you can actually kind of see a cut together version of that. It doesn't make it any better.
No. But that's the intro.
Yeah.
And then
we jump a year ahead.
Right.
Halloween Eve.
Yes.
is the title that they give it. And we're at a Haddonfield Children's Clinic.
Right, which is also confusing to me because everything about Loomis being involved with we cut to this clinic where Jamie Lloyd lives.
She's having Jamie Lloyd returns. Danielle Harris played the same character in Halloween 4. And she goes on to play Annie Brackett in Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2. And she's in the Hatchet films later on.
Yeah. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
And because of these movies, I've seen a lot of interview work with her, and she's super funny and like very charming. And I like her a lot in these movies. As a kid actor, she was very good. But she lives there, and Loomis is involved with her current care, as is revealed in a bit. But like, why would that be a children's clinic? Why wouldn't it be like a mental hospital? And like, if
there's not a lot of explanation as to like what they're doing with her.
There's also a bunch of kids there.
Yeah. Every time she goes to sleep, they have her like wearing one of those like headband things, and she's like on it's reading her brain waves or something.
She's also mute
right
now. And then like she has a friend that gets introduced at one point named Billy who's got like kind of a stutter.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's like, is he in the clinic for a stutter?
Yeah, there's not an explanation to a lot going on here.
Science was really crude in the 80s. They were like, you got a stutter? Lobotomy. You got a lazy eye? 2 lobotomies. One to do it, then we undo it. So you know what it was like.
But yeah, she wakes from this nightmare, and
the nightmare in which assumedly Michael is killing the old man.
Yeah. No. The nightmare is just her remembering the events, because we get another use of footage from the end of the epilogue of Halloween 4 of her killing her. Well, not killing, but attacking her mother with scissors.
I guess it's just my assumption because she gets the fucking chalkboard.
It's immediately after that. Yeah. She wakes up, because then like it's like she starts gripping her hand, and we cut back to Michael.
Right.
And he flips his hand over, and we see
he has a sick new tattoo.
He does.
Thank God it didn't burn away when he was literally consumed body and soul by flames in Halloween 2.
Yeah. There's no explanation as to when or why he has this tattoo.
No.
But it's also no explanation as to what it means.
Nope.
But we know, because we've seen the next movie.
Yeah.
And that this trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, is known as the Thorn trilogy.
Yeah.
Is that it's the Thorn rune.
It's like the runic symbol of Thorn, which is like an evil curse thing. I don't fucking know.
We'll get to that next week.
Yay.
But so it's like, it's the first sign of this like psychic connection or telepathic connection between the two of them, because she moves her hand, and then he wakes up and moves his hand, and then he kills the mountain man, and she's freaking out. I like the writing on the chalkboard thing.
Sure.
Her performance is odd here. I mean, she's like an 11, 12-year-old girl as an actress at the time, having to play a mute.
And she's like, her eyes are like slacked and like out of focus, and she's like just scribbling on the chalkboard, like kind of screaming. She's going like
it's that's odd to me, and I don't know if like I can't speak. I don't for people who are mute,
right?
So it's like I don't know if that would be something that they wouldn't know how to, or they wouldn't be able to emote a scream. But that always comes off as odd, and it's that she bolt upright and she's at the camera doing it.
Yes,
it's not like she's just doing it to the room. It's like she is very much like screaming into the camera,
like a Limp Bizkit music video.
Yeah,
super weird.
Her nurse comes in and is like, do you want us to call your mother or whatever? And
she's like, nope, my mom's dead.
But they what they call the doctor in, and they throw her onto like a moving stretcher,
right?
And they have to take her down the stairs. This is also the thing where it's like, why is she on the second floor of this thing? If
she's like having a seizure.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, we need to get her down to stabilize her. So then the stretcher, they gurney it down the stairs. And it's like, so you've got this person who is a child who is capable of having seizures, at the top of this rickety old, like, shoot wherever you can, I
Yeah.
guess. But like, Jesus Christ, that makes no sense.
But then we get our reintroduction of Dr. Loomis.
In a cloud of bourbon fumes.
And I love that his first lines of dialogue are the same as his final lines of dialogue in Halloween 4.
He goes, no!
The next day, we are reintroduced to another character from Halloween 4, Rachel Carruthers, played by Ellie Cornell,
Yes.
also from Halloween 4, obviously. And then she goes on to star in all of the House of the Dead movies.
Oh, okay. And then her friend, what is it, Tina?
Tina Williams.
Shows up, right.
Wendy Foxworth. She was in Police Story, Monster Manor, which was a TV movie. She's in a couple other TV movies, Summer Dreams, which is about the Beach Boys. And then she is in a horror film called Homecoming in 2005, The Labyrinth in 2017, I should say. That was a horror anthology movie. It also had James Franco, Josh Peck, and Jason Ritter, if I'm not mistaken.
Importantly, not Labyrinth.
No.
The Labyrinth.
The Labyrinth. I do want to point that out. But no, didn't work on a whole lot.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Which is a shock whenever you watch this movie.
Her performance is very much 80s.
Like Valley Girl.
Person, yeah.
Well, not even Valley Girl. It's just...
Because she's kind of like punkish.
Yeah.
It's very much like chewing bubble gum. I love MTV. Like, that's what it reads to me. It's kind of airheady. But she and Rachel come into the room that Jamie's in with their dog, Max, a big old Dobie. And they're like sitting around and they do the thing where they go, hey, everybody, we've been friends for a long time. Thumbs up.
Okay, which I have a problem with.
Okay.
Because in Halloween 4, there is one scene that we talked about, I believe, where a friend of Rachel is introduced because they need a ride somewhere. The friend is named Lindsay.
Yep.
And, you know, it didn't happen in the movie, but what that was setting up is that was Lindsay Wallace. The grown-up version of the girl that
Which
Lori,
is a fine little nod to the original. Yeah.
I would have liked that. But she isn't brought back for this movie. But then this character of Tina is very similar in
Same
the way
hair
that
color
she
as
looks.
the child. You could have just said that this is Lindsay Wallace, and instead they're like, this is Tina. And she has dog. She got big hair and she's a lot of fun. And it's like, okay, why?
Yeah. They're not supposed to have Max in there.
No. So Loomis comes in and he's like, he's like gritting his teeth. He's like, the fuck is going on in here? Hey, get that fucking dog out of here. And they're like, oh, sorry, Doc. I mean, that literally, I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's basically, and I'm just going to set the precedent now so we don't have to spend time talking about it the rest of the review. That is the dialogue. It's Loomis going, what's going on in here? Why is that dog in here? And they're like, sorry, haha, we're fun.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay. It's just a back and forth of fuck authority. And it's like, okay. That's what they do in Chopping Mall too, but at least Chopping Mall has really cool little laser robots.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's a brick thrown through the window, and there's a note on it that says
Mysterio was right.
it says the evil child must die.
Sure.
Because people are holding Jamie accountable for what Michael has done in the past.
Yep.
Because they know that she is his niece.
My assumption is they are holding her accountable for stabbing her foster mother.
Yeah. Who apparently didn't die.
No, she didn't die. And also Rachel doesn't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you got, the lynch mob out there? Like, we saw that little girl touch Michael's hand.
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, this
I'm
doesn't,
from
it doesn't make
Illinois.
any sense. But Rachel is like planning on going away for a couple days.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, her first time in this year that she's like, I'm going to step away from here and you know, go and whatever vacation with her parents in the country. So one, and she's like she feels bad about it, but it's like, well, then just why choose now? Why choose the anniversary? The reason she feels bad about it is because she doesn't want to leave Jamie. But then it's like,
don't
choose wait a month and then do it.
The precedent that's been set is like all of these characters are grown people. It's like they're probably right at the end or right out of high school, but like they're driving around in cars, they're smoking dope, they're, you know, like banging each other. It's like, yeah, just say no.
Yeah.
Why also have this be a plot point in the script at all? So that people don't worry about when she goes missing.
Yes. It's very much like in Black Christmas with Mrs. Mac.
Gotcha.
She's going to visit her sister. Well, nobody checks the attic whenever she gets, drawn up there. It is a very similar thing there. I hate what they do with Rachel in this movie because I very much like Rachel as a character.
So, and this scene where what happens to Rachel happens, which, not so spoiler alert, she dies.
Yeah.
But the problem that I have with this part is that it's a halfway decent concept, which is very basically she goes home, she gets in the shower. Max, the dog, is chained up outside. Michael arrives there because that's, I guess, the house that he came to last time. So he's there to kill her again.
Yeah.
Jamie,
yeah.
I mean. And he finds Rachel there, alone. And then Jamie in the clinic, they're like painting a big poster for the school or whatever. Jamie starts to like kind of freak out again and starts to like go limp-eyed and whatever. And then grabs like crayons and shit and draws Max, the dog, on the like the poster.
Yeah, the Halloween carnival banner that they're making.
Yeah. And her friend is like, what's wrong? Because he's got a stutter, and that's why he's in the mental hospital. But Loomis comes in because everybody's kind of freaking out because Jamie's like off the rocker. And Loomis comes in and he's like, what is it? He's just dialed up. That's the sad part, is that in the movie, one of the things that I laughed really hard about in Halloween 4 is that when Loomis pulls up to the gas station, he gets out of the car and he's got his cane. And he gets out of the car and he walks around and he's like, hello? Hello, is anybody here? And he's just immediately at an 11. He's like whacking shit with the cane, like trying to get people's attention. He doesn't have that energy in this one. He's just kind of neutered.
Which you can't even, I don't know if there was something going on in his life, like health wise, because I was going to say like, oh, well, it's been a while. But it's like, no, it was literally a year later.
I think he maybe just hated the fucking movie. I would.
And apparently he was, all of his stuff was shot in the first 2 weeks of filming.
Yeah. I'm amazed that he gave them 2 weeks.
Yeah. He got, Daniel Harris tells this story about how, at the beginning of the shoot, he's the name before the title of this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's Donald Pleasance in Halloween 5.
Yeah.
And so he has this huge trailer, this Winnebago or whatever. And like Daniel Harris and Billy and one other actor or whatever, they all are like sharing a trailer.
Aww.
And so after his 2 weeks, whenever Donald Pleasance was leaving the set, like he was picture wrapped, he made them keep that on set and gave it to Danielle. So that she could have the big, because he was like, no, she is the star of this movie now. She deserves the
everything that I've ever heard about Donald Pleasance. He seems like a genuinely wonderful person.
Yeah. More like Donald Pleasant to be around.
There it is. Those are the kind of jokes that I gotta stop doing that. The thing is, his performance in this one is like, if this was its own thing, I wouldn't have anything positive to say about his performance.
Yeah.
It is scattered. It's totally all over the place. Cause like he seems to want to care, but also like at one point in the movie, he's like, why are you protecting Michael? And it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What does it fucking mean? And so here he's like, what is it? What is it, Jamie? Is it Max? I'm sorry, I can't help but do the impression. Is it Max? What's wrong with Max? And then they get the phone and they call Rachel. And he's like, go check the dog, you stupid child. And he's just freaking the fuck out. She's like, okay. So she gets out of the shower. And then it's like creepy because it's Michael's in there and he's like he's an uncle, which makes it weird.
Yeah.
And he's like stalking this nude girl around her house. And
which again, I think that's just them kind of following the trend, that all the Friday the 13th movies had just set for them.
Because like it is assumed nudity, and there is nudity in the original Halloween.
Yeah,
but it's
and
not
in Halloween too.
But it's like that moves the plot along. It's like the kids are in this house because they've gotten their child that they're babysitting taken care of by somebody else so that they can have sex. And that is how Michael catches them unawares. And this is just like, oh, well, she's here for the day. Just, get her butt out and shoot her in a towel. And it's creepy and it comes off that way. And so the reason I don't like what this sets up, it could be cool if Jamie could like tap into Michael and kind of warn people that he's on the way or kind of see and lead the police or whatever. But that doesn't fucking happen. And immediately she's like, the dog's fine. And so everything's fine. No one thinks anything of it. and then Michael stabs Rachel in like the collarbone, assumedly, and like she's gone outside, she's called the police, it all because Loomis is like, no, Jamie is like psychokinetically connected to Michael and knows what's going to happen, but that doesn't pay off to anything because everyone's like, oh, silly Loomis, you fucking crazy ass, and silly Jamie, you fucking crazy ass.
And like the cops come and sweep the house.
Oh, and the cops, by the way, it's not even like, it's not cute. It's just annoying. But the cops have like, like goofy
that
Addams
is
Family
not
music.
An exaggeration. They added these two bumbling cops with like this clown theme music that plays behind them. And it's kind of done as an homage to the cops that are in Wes Craven's Last House on the Left.
All of that to say, the kind of all the way around of my point is all of the things that happen here have the potential to be interesting, pay off to nothing, and it just ends with Rachel getting stabbed in the clavicle by assumedly Jamie's scissors, and she is then out of the movie for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Which sucks.
Yeah, she's the most interesting part.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know. I just wish that they had either kept her around or had written a better way of getting rid of her. Like, she was already going on a trip, but that was just, like you said, just to kind of set us up to where, well, people won't be suspicious now when she disappears. People in the story, not us watching.
Which is weird because you then meet her like quasi replacement in Rachel's house. Tina is like there to like check. And I don't think this is immediate, but it's like there is then another friend of this group that gets introduced and is also the same height and blonde and is like walks into the room in Rachel's house and they're like, oh, Rachel must have already gone. We get the whole house to ourselves. And it's like, then why not just use Rachel?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is this?
That's what I don't. And I don't know if it's because like Rachel is a smart character and like she has already kind of escaped or defeated Michael before. And so they needed dumber characters to be cannon fodder. Like
the plot is so on such thin crutches that it needs a dumbass for it to be able to be effective.
Yeah.
You were probably 100%.
Like she originally, I guess the death was not supposed to be where she was stabbed there, but instead like stabbed in the throat. But the actress herself was just like, that seems too extreme for Rachel. I'd rather not do that. So they rewrote it the way that they did. And Mustafa Akkad has since said that like one of his biggest regrets for this was killing her off as soon as he did.
That's his regret.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think where we go next. We've introduced people here.
This movie's already in our grave, y'all.
But yeah,
we've already forgotten.
Jamie's freaking out again when the kill happens. Michael kills Rachel there. We meet her doctor is in like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
I will only bring him up to say Dr. Max Holt is his name, is played by Max Robinson, and he was in Silent Night, Deadly Night as Officer Barnes. Okay. So I think he's one of the officers toward the end of the movie, I believe. But when we cover that, we'll I'm sure mention him again.
Probably.
We have our reintroduction to Sheriff Ben Meeker at the police department, played by Beau Starr.
He is good. I will give
underused.
Yeah,
he's barely in this movie.
Woefully.
He's got like 2 scenes
because he was a breath of fresh air in 4. Because I like the Haddonfield cop. I like Brackett. I like that character. I think that's a good staple character to have. So to have him in this and then just be like, because there's a really gripping scene with him and Loomis where Loomis is like, did you forget what happened? How many people he killed? Your own daughter. And that cop whips his head around and he goes to like chew Loomis out. And Loomis is like, no, shut the fuck up. Like, you're letting this happen. And it's just that Donald Pleasance really like gets he's played this character for so long. That's like, no, he's no one's punching bag anymore. He has been stabbed. He has been set on fire. He has been bodily thrown from buildings. It's like, no, he's not taking shit anymore. He's on a fucking cane and can barely move. Like, The man knows what needs to happen and isn't going to take lip anymore.
Yeah, this scene is one of the better performances in the entire thing. Pleasant's delivery here. Some of the lines he gives are just cold.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, at this point, they have to be. If you write him considerate of other people's feelings during these dialogues, you've written him wrong. Why on earth would a near 70-year-old man who has dealt with what he's dealt with and done what he's done ever be considerate of hurting your feelings at this point? Other people are going to die, and he's the only one who can stop it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And he does kind of carry that history with him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we're introduced to Tina's other friend, I guess Rachel's other friend, Samantha Thomas, played by Tamara Glenn. She was in an episode of Freddy's Nightmares before this. And then years later, in 2022, she is in Terrifier 2 as the costume shop mom.
Okay.
That's what she's credited as.
We got to watch this.
And then she's also 2022. She's in a Friday the 13th Vengeance 2 Bloodlines, which is a Friday the 13th fan film.
Okay.
They show up in the house, and basically the whole idea is Rachel was going to leave for the weekend, and she was going to Tina was then going to watch the house and Max the dog for her.
Right. So at which point
they were going to throw a party, or at least all stay in.
Right. And all is because we're okay. So very quickly, I'll get on the groove again. I'll rush us through the nonsense to get to the next bit. So they have had this discussion about what their plans are, and they're like, okay, well, let's go. And they leave out the front door.
I guess to go check on Jamie at the clinic.
Again, sure.
Yeah.
The other friend also knows Jamie. Everybody knows Jamie.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Jamie. But Tina turns around and sees like Michael. And you pointed out that it's like clearly they didn't shoot it well enough.
Okay. There are 2 to 3 moments that I noticed in this where clearly they shot a scene. And then in the editing room, they went, oh, well, we need to add this little moment here where, in this case, Michael is standing in the front room looking out the bay window at her. And as they walk away, and then she glances back at the house, and then he's gone, but you see his shoulder just very slow, like kind of move out of frame. And if you're really looking, I can tell that they have slowed that footage down.
Yeah.
And what happens is, I'm sure that's literally just the end of a take where he was just walking out of frame, and they were like, oh, well, we want to use that as like the reaction shot, but we need it to be longer than 4 frames. So we have to slow it down, but you can like see it jitter.
Yeah.
There's another scene later on where the same thing toward the end, Jamie has like fallen on the ground. And same thing, it's like, it's very jittery because they needed to stretch this time, but they didn't shoot it at a faster frame rate.
Right.
So you can't cleanly slow it down.
All I know is that a person who nebulously knows who Michael Myers is, but has never seen him, wouldn't have any real reason to be worried about it at this point, but turns and sees a shoulder exit the window of the house they were just in and says nothing. Does nothing, doesn't register at all. It's like even in Halloween 1, things would happen that Laurie is seeing that maybe Annie doesn't see. And it's the hedge scene. And Annie's like, Laurie, he wants to talk to you. And like kind of makes fun of her about it. But it's because she didn't see it.
Right.
But if she had seen it, it's the car. It's slow down. And then the car stops. And they're all like, oh, I don't like this. Characters react to things that they see. So if you've made it a point to slow the footage down to show that this girl has seen that there is a man in the house they were just in, why the fuck would you then write her going, eh, and walking away? It's not a supernatural film. There's no explanation of ghosts. There's no expectation of that. So I don't know. It's only made stupider by the fact that they then walk down the road to like a park at the end of the road.
It's outside. I think it's in the backyard of the children's clinic.
Okay, that's fair. But there's this giant fuck off tree, and you can just see him. He's not hiding.
He's just like milling about.
Yeah.
in the background under this tree.
And like one of the more unnerving shots of the original Halloween is Michael standing in the linens, the hanging sheets, and he's standing there. And then she looks and then he's gone because it's like, well, was he there? And you get to play with that because why else would he hide in the plain view? People debate that all the time. Was Michael actually there? Of course he's here. He's standing under a fucking tree. He mills about. He's like looking for a contact. And I say he's looking for a contact, by the way, because the actor clearly can't see out of that squinty, stupid fucking mask. So he's looking at the ground. He's not looking at them. And he's just like, and like awkwardly moves out of frame. And
he has something in his hand, a weapon of some kind. And it's just like, he's just standing here in broad daylight.
Yeah. And they are having a conversation that no one could fucking pay me to care about. It's like, oh, we're teenagers. Oh, that's so cool. Let's have a party. Teenager party. Yay. And it's just like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Then a car pulls up and Tina goes, Michael. And it's like, Michael? Is there another Michael in this movie? Well, turns out it is. And I think it's literally for that moment.
That and whenever she gets in the car later and she keeps using his name, Michael over and over again. Mikey is played by Jonathan Chapin. He was in Risky Business. And then he's in 16 Candles and Breakfast Club, which are both the John Hughes films. And he was in a horror film in 1988 called Twice Dead.
I'm going to give you a comparison to the three major like horror franchises out there. Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Halloween, the thing that makes Halloween is its characters. What they do, what they say, what they don't say, how they react to things. You learn to love these characters. Nightmare on Elm Street, the characters are good, but it is about the effects. So the characters, their personalities are dialed up to 11. They are caricatures of what normal kids during that period of the 80s would be like, so that you can get to know them very quickly, care enough about them to worry for them, enough to make the horrible ways that they die with amazing special effects worth it.
And to give them like a thing that they do or love so that Freddy can exploit that.
Right. And then Friday the 13th is only popular because you get as many fucking characters as possible. You don't give a shit about the characters because you don't need to emotionally resonate with them because you just want to watch Tom Savini butcher fake bodies as many times in a movie as possible. Those are the three things. So what bothers me here is that it is the worst part of all three of those franchises with the characters that live on in this movie. So not Rachel, because she was the one that was interesting, who's now dead. So you've got Tina, who's like kind of the punk renegade, and you've got the blonde, who is the blonde, and then you've got the guy, and he's like a greaser, and he like wears the glasses, and then you got the guy who's like kooky and he works at the gas station, and you have these caricatures that you learn almost nothing about except they're one exploitable thing that then barely gets exploited, if at all, just for them to die, but the kills aren't interesting either.
Because, any little moment that we had with them was trimmed out because of rating.
And so if you are out there and you've given this movie a 5-star review and you're like, oh, no, you just don't understand it. No, we understand it just fine. You are easy to please. You look at a character like Mikey Glasses McCar Badass and go, yeah, he's like the cool guy, not realizing that. Well, no. Laurie Strode was a cool character because Laurie Strode kept her cool and didn't have any of the defining features of somebody who would normally do that. She subverts your expectations. She overcomes obstacles you didn't think possible. Mikey, the car guy, getting killed because Michael scratches his car with a garden tool.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that is.
Anyway, we meet this fucking jackass, and he's rude, and he's
awful,
like abusive to his girl, and like, I don't know, Michael's still just standing under the fucking tree.
But they peel off, and then we get almost, you mentioned the clothesline scene. We get almost a reference to that because Jamie looks down from the window of her room and sees him standing in the trees looking up at her. But then instead of disappearing,
and he looks way different. She's like, she thinks about like what Laurie must have seen, and then she looks down and she sees him, and she's like, oh, you've gotten the worst work done. You should sue your surgeon.
But he, I don't know, begins moving toward the building, and then we go into I can't tell if it's supposed to be an actual chase or a dream sequence, or she thinks she's being chased, but it's really just the janitor is following her.
You and I talked about how important it is in a movie that is going to implement a sort of fantasy or dream sequence, how important it is that you make it clear that that's what it is. In fact, it's so important that the movie Inception, the entire twist of the movie Inception is that they blur that line.
Right.
Doing that here is stupid.
Yeah. It's a bizarre little chase, and it's probably my least favorite use of score in this whole movie. I already talked about it earlier, but yeah, I really hate just kind of how it's chopped up in this scene. She gets taken back up to her room at this point, and this like interaction between, I think this is where Loomis takes Billy out of the room. And she's like, I think she needs to be alone for a while. And then he takes Billy out and just closes the door behind him. And I thought he was going to leave too and actually leave her alone. And then he comes back in and it's just like, he took, do you know what he did? Do you know what he did, Jamie? He stole the coffin of a 9-year-old girl. Do you know how old you are? You're a 9-year-old girl.
Do you know what he's going to fucking do to you, Jamie? He's going to stab you in the goddamn face, Jamie, please. I'm Dr. Samuel Loomis. I've seen him stab so many people. Please, Jamie, don't be the one. It's like, and I can see it, right? I can see the director and what he had in mind of like, oh my God, you know, Loomis is talking about a baby coffin. That's so fucked up. And it is. And it would be if we had any stakes or gave any shit at all. But what this is instead cutting away from the nonsense of, wait, is he in this building? To have fucking, and I love the guy, but to have Donald Pleasance drunkenly talk about a baby coffin. It's like, what the fuck is this? But you can tell he thought it would be like shocking. And it isn't. How on earth would you make a movie shocking or make a line of dialogue shocking about a kid getting killed as the sequel to a film that is almost entirely about a man trying to kill a child?
Yeah, that's true. You also get the like best line of dialogue, the funniest line of dialogue in this film, which is, Dr. Loomis, please leave that little girl alone. Because I don't think that actress, the nurse, was acting. I think she was just telling Donald Pleasance.
That's not an actress. That's Jamie Harris. That's
Danielle Harris's.
That's her mom. She's like, Dr. Loomis. You can see that she has no idea. She's not in the industry. She doesn't know that that's Donald Pleasance. So she thinks that guy's name is Loomis. See, I'm throwing bits at the wall like old noodles, man, but none of them are sticking because there's no wall. It's just a dirty barn.
Yeah.
So, and actually to that point, we cut then back to the teenagers.
Right.
Who we don't give a shit about.
There is a quick aside here, and I'll give it because we see this one shot, and it very much matches the shot that's in Halloween 4. The camera, cranes down and a bus pulls up to the drugstore.
Holy shit.
And we get an introduction
to a fucking boot.
Yeah. And the tail of a long duster jacket. And the man in black is introduced, and he kicks a dog on the sidewalk.
No, that is funny.
And
Dylan laughed his ass off.
Yeah. And then we also see that he has the same Thorn rune on his wrist that matches Michael.
Now, did you also, watching this, go, how the fuck would anyone know that this is a different person? Because the only identifiable mark of Michael that we've ever seen in this franchise, unless you're counting the split second of seeing Michael in the first movie, the only identifying feature is we've now seen he has a tattoo.
Right.
And now there's a man here with the same tattoo. I was like, why is Michael in a cowboy costume?
How did he afford that bus ticket?
You know how he sold his body.
Well, what's funny
he
is
sold that kid coffin.
Yeah.
He turned the kid coffin into a bus a la Wacky Racers.
What is that? Is it a Hemingway poem? Baby coffin already used. Man, like 2 people are going to get that reference and laugh.
It's good. It's a very good one. And those 2 people, by the way, like it's great.
What's funny is that there were Don Shanks. He talks about how there were talks about maybe the Man in Black being like Michael's twin brother. And so that's why they cast him as the Man in Black, so that it would be the same, same shape, basically the same size.
I guess.
And nothing came of that.
Even if that had been what came of it, that still would have been stupid.
Yes.
There's no saving that. That's just dumb.
Yeah. Loomis goes to what in this film is apparently the Myers house.
Yeah.
Which looks, because we were shooting in Salt Lake City and not, Pasadena or wherever in Halloween, they don't have a house that looks anything close to. And so instead they go with this giant mansion.
It's like a brownstone, but it's not the same color. It's not the same facade shape. It's not the same yard style. It is a completely different looking house. But the thing, you pointed this out, the thing is as far as horror houses go, it's like the Psycho house and Michael's fucking house. That house is I mean, even then in the later the legacy sequels, that house looks just fucking like it. Whether it is or not, it looks just fucking like it.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know.
It's like build a facade if you can't find a house that works. But I guess they wanted to shoot inside. They needed something that would give them big enough rooms that they could shoot these fight sequence things in.
Yeah.
And then that there would be this laundry chute.
Yeah.
Which wasn't available in the original Myers house. But this is what unfortunately I picked up on in the second rewatch is, oh my God, they set up this laundry chute for a payoff in the finale.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
which great. You've done the least amount of effort. You've done the bare minimum that making a movie requires. You've had a payoff and set up. Good.
Yeah. We jump back to, this is where we get back to the kids, the teenagers. Mikey is waxing his car. We're introduced to Spitz, who is played by Matthew Walker. And he was in a TV horror film called I'm Dangerous Tonight, which also starred Anthony Perkins, speaking of Psycho.
Oh, my God.
And then he will later, in a couple years, he will be in Child's Play 3.
Who is he in Child's Play 3?
He is Ellis, who is like the right-hand man of the, cadet
oh my God.
lieutenant or whatever.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so he's there.
That's crazy because he looks way older in this than he did in that.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's because they buzz his hair or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
And then he will later go on to be in Princess Diaries 2, Valentine's Day, New Year's Eve, and Mother's Day, which are all Gary Marshall romantic comedy movies.
Weird.
Yeah.
He is my least favorite part of this movie.
Oh God, he's awful.
It's like if the guy with the car, the dickhead with the car was bad, this is just the worst. I have known his character's name is Spitz.
Yep.
I've known a million Spitzes in my life. Just some Elon Musk fucking asshole who thinks he's super funny and like a meme lord who isn't and is just cringy as fuck, who just demands attention all the time. The thing I've worried that I am a million times is just that cringy look at me,
yeah,
which is why I'm doing this show, so that you all have to listen to me and in some way look at me, because there's a cartoon of me on your phone right now. But
Spitz is awful.
It's just awful.
I think, I don't know, his laugh, it's over the top. It's almost like like a wicked witch laugh or something. Like it's
the wicked Woody Woodpecker. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only positive thing I'll say about or the difference there with Mikey is that Mikey isn't long for this world. We see him in 2 scenes and then he is killed off here in just a second.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing. So, okay. Again, got the groove. I'm going to very quickly explain the shit that matters later on, but isn't important enough to spend a lot of time on. Outside of this gas station, the kids say that they're going to go to a party in a barn, that there's some barn party that all the kids are going to. And also, Tina has purchased Mikey a mask that is like a bruiser. It's a weird Don Post mask. It's a Halloween mask that looks like a big fat headed dude. And that Spitz is also going to get booze or whatever, but that's not really important.
Yeah, they're more or less stealing alcohol from this store.
Yeah, it is shown here that Mikey really likes his car. And Spitz is like, go around the back. So he does. And then it leads to a who gives a shit kill from a who gives a shit character. We don't like the character and the kill's not inspired at all. it's like a garden rake, like a little hoe thing.
Yeah, it's got 3 prongs.
Derek, you a little hoe. He uses it to scratch. You're blushing. He uses it to scratch the car. And Mikey's like, "What the fuck?" And then he just. Now, keep in mind, this character is short. Is like a shorter man.
Yes,
and is wearing like a black shirt, black pants, a black belt, black jacket, black glasses, has black hair, slicked back, and has been given this mask. So Michael, who is huge,
right,
and is wearing suspenders or coveralls,
right?
You know, I said this many episodes ago. He is dressed as albino maintenance worker, which is the Haddonfield's #1 costume.
And I mean, apparently, because Spitz has it later on.
Yeah. And so oh my fucking God, you're right.
Why would he have that costume? What is it?
Guys.
Does he know who Michael Myers is?
Guys, what's happening? Is it because that would be one thing. If like, could you imagine like in the barn when Spitz walks in and he's wearing the costume, if Tina was like, "Hey, that's really disrespectful. Like, do you know? That's interesting. That's like that's Jamie's fucking uncle, dude. Like, stop, knock it off." And instead it's like, dicks and barn hay. Barn hay, by the way, filled with ticks. I didn't say dicks, I said ticks. But so Michael is now driving Mikey's car. I hate this fucking movie so much. Take over. I'm gonna go smash my head into something.
Yeah, and he eventually picks up Tina, who is dressed in like a maid costume because it's Halloween.
Yep.
And he is not speaking, which is another motif in these films of girlfriend talking to boyfriend and boyfriend not responding in any way, and they just keep on keeping on for a while.
And yes, you and I are romantically involved, but even if we weren't, and I was just standing in the doorway of your bedroom, and I was wearing like, you know, I've got a Ghostface costume, and I'm dressed up as Ghostface. I'm a spooky Ghostface, right? Yeah. And you look up at me and you're like, "Hey, PJ, what are you doing? PJ, come on, man, say something." And I just refuse. Either I'm like having the big one, like this is it. I'm walking to the mailbox once a day from now on, and that's it, or I'm someone else and I'm going to murder you. It's like those really are the two options.
Yeah. But no, just keep on and and kiss the mask mouth, which is another a theme that's going to come back. But they stop at this gas station because she wants cigarettes, and Jamie is freaking out because she's having so Jamie and Billy are at the
like Halloween dance, like kid party.
It's like a costume pageant.
Halloween pageant and kid casino.
And like she does anytime that Michael is near somebody that she knows or that he's about to commit a murder, she starts having her psychic fit.
She freaks the fuck out.
And and they grab her and they're trying to get her to explain who is this happening to and where is it? It's happening to Tina, and she's at a store. What kind of store? An all-nighter. And then Loomis is like well, what kind of what is it? And there's this painted sign on the side of the gas station, and it's this woman, and it's for like, I guess they sell big cookies. Because it says like giant cookies, but it's a woman and she's holding these 2 giant cookies in front of her breasts. And I find it hysterical that the kids latch onto that and they're like, big cookie, big woman cookie. And Loomis is confused. He's like, big woman cookies. And the cop hops on the radio and is just like, that's Dan's or that's Dale's gas station. It's on the corner of 5th and Main. Like, he knows exactly what they're talking about because he's just sat there and stared at that sign.
Yeah. At those chocolate chunks.
And so all these cops show up and stop Tina, and Michael at that point has peeled off in the Camaro
in
and
his
left.
Stolen car.
Right.
Which, don't you think she would go, "Oh, maybe that was, maybe that's somebody else"?
Well, when your boyfriend is that much of an asshole,
you just
maybe,
don't care.
Yeah, maybe not. Because she looks around and it's just like, wow, really? And then gets in with the cops. And
oh my God, you're right. Because there's no reaction to the car pulling up at the fucking barn party.
Mm-mm.
Oh my
Yeah, they're already inside it, or she's already inside at that point. But yeah, Tina goes to check on Jamie at that point, and she ends up leaving to go to the Tower Farm where they're throwing this party. And
as a quick aside, really quickly, sorry, she does go check on Jamie, and when Jamie sees her, is like, Tina, and uses her voice. And it's like, okay, cute. And Jamie Harris is so fucking cute in this movie. That is a positive. Yeah. So sorry. I don't care. She's so cute. She's so wonderful. And it's like, this is a cute moment, but means nothing.
Yeah.
And has not, like, why? Can anybody out there explain that to me? Because if it were her getting her voice save someone later on, set up payoff. If her getting her voice, distracts Michael, set up payoff. But no, she's been mute the entire movie.
Like, in a way, it saves Tina, but that's not what's happening here. Tina is hearing her use her name, use her voice to say Tina, but Tina doesn't know that her talking, even just barely forming words to go cookie woman, store, Tina, like, she doesn't know that that's what saved her.
Right.
There's no payoff to that.
No.
It's also, would it work better if it was Rachel, who is like this girl's sister, who is like, oh my God, you've been in the hospital for a year and haven't been able to talk. And oh my God, I'm so happy that you can talk. No, instead, it's Tina, who we don't know.
But then finally, if you took everything that we just said and she had been able to speak the entire time, you lose 2 seconds of like, oh, that's sweet. But Big Woman Cookie is a fine little story beat. Yeah. They can't describe what the gas station is, but the cop knows that it's there for some reason. So either make it a sign that is recognizable, but doesn't have words. And so the kids have to describe it clumsily and then the cop knows. Or just have her say the name of the fucking gas station because the cop then knows anyway.
Yeah.
There's no mystery. There's nothing to gain from her not being able to talk. And then now she can.
Yeah.
I just don't understand any of the narrative decisions of this movie. I don't understand.
No.
To which we are now at the party.
Yes, because she goes to the Tower Farm party, and Loomis has basically told the 2 bumbling cops to follow her, and so they take her to the party. The only reason that I bring that up is because that is how Billy knows where they're going, because he overhears this at the door.
Right.
I didn't pick that up my first rewatch.
That makes sense.
So yeah, they're at the party. They play a trick on the cops because they know that they're outside. So Spitz gets in, the Michael costume. But that means they know what the costume is or who it's representing because he's like going to kill the girls.
Well, and that's kind of hinted at in Halloween 4. Granted, the storytelling devices in Halloween 4 have almost, if anything, to do with this movie, nothing at all. But it's when the 3 Michaels pop up,
right?
And they're like, "Oh, we're just playing around." I think now in Haddonfield they know what he looked like that night. There may be something taboo about that. But again, you have these 2 cop characters that mean nothing, came from nowhere, and contribute nothing to the story, are like, hey, do you have any idea how serious this is? And it's like, okay, so then what you're setting up is that they then don't recognize Michael as an actual threat because a kid has already done the costume thing. But does it need to be one of the friends? And also, do the cops need to be there at all? Because so far as I know, the only thing that happens is, and I'll groove it and I'll very quickly explain. They are there in that barn. It's Tina and friend
Sam
and Spitz are there. And they are just going to hang out. And then it's assumed that the other 2, the couple, are going to fuck in the barn.
Yeah, they're going to have a roll in the hay.
So I don't know what the fuck Tina's doing there other than to, like...
She goes out there, they find the kittens, and then Tina leaves because they're going to...
That's another thing. There's a whole thing with... there's like baby kittens, and then one of them is in blood later on. But again, it doesn't mean anything.
No, it is just random thing that brings us to random other thing. It's they go into the barn, Tina leaves the barn, they roll in the hay, Michael kills Spitz
with a pick, which decent effect.
Yep, decent effect.
And then uses scythe to slit her throat.
Assumedly, we don't see it. It's off camera.
You would have hoped it would have been a beheading because it's a fucking scythe.
But we see her shadow fall, and her head is very much still attached. So no.
Tina goes back into the barn, sees the blood on the cat, and is like, "Oh, what happened?" And then looks up and sees her dead friends, and then is just like,
she goes out. The cops have also been killed by the pitchfork.
Which, you know, when Bug was here, we were playing like the fun game of where did Michael go during these moments? Like, oh, we're looking at Annie right now. So where is Michael? Because you can logic that out, right? Of where he goes throughout the night. I don't understand how he would have gone into the barn, killed them, out, killed the cops, back in, and she didn't see him at all. It's an open fucking field.
Yeah.
It's, oh, well, they did this in previous Halloween movies, so we'll do it again. The whole thing, and this isn't a new thing that I'm saying now. It's kind of implied by the entire conversation. This whole thing reeks of Mustafa Akkad milking John Carpenter's masterpiece for every ounce that it's worth without ever once understanding why it's a masterpiece.
That's it.
He never for a moment got, oh, this is why people relate to this and enjoy this movie. This is the little nuances and the little pieces of tension that make this movie work so well. It's, well, he can just teleport around, so I guess he just has fucking superpowers. I mean, he can already like possess Jamie, I guess, which is also not explained well enough for it to have been so consistent a plot point.
Yeah. This is where I think I hit pause during the movie last night and I realized, oh my God, we still have like 40, 50 minutes left. Because we then hit these like 3 finale pieces just over and over and over again. And
none of them matter, and none of them have enough interesting dialogue. We are at the point now where you get that interesting dialogue because we're right about at the clip that we played in the episode.
Yeah, basically, Jamie and Billy have run away from the clinic. And let me just say this because I don't think I've said it this entire episode. But Billy Hill is played by Jeffrey Landman. He was in Home Alone 2 as one of the choir singers.
Oh.
He's also in a movie with Michael J. Fox called Life with Mikey, where he also plays a singer in that. And then he is credited on all 52 episodes of The Magic School Bus, the cartoon.
Okay.
Not as one of the voices of the kids.
Right.
Because I thought, oh man, maybe he plays, somebody. No, he is a performer on the soundtrack. So he must be one of the voices, the kid voices that you hear singing, I'm on the Magic School Bus in the opening. Because it's all 52 episodes he's credited on.
Weird.
Bizarre. But yes, they have left the clinic. They have made it to the farm. And Michael is back in Mikey's car and begins chasing
Tina down through a field, which like, you pointed out, you're like you have to be doing it on purpose to miss this many times. You have to have missed them on purpose.
Yeah.
Because you're in a fucking field, not a cornfield, not like a vineyard or something. It is an empty grass cattle farm with no cattle.
Parts of it are field. There's like they drive through like in the special features they talk about they had planted all these like mini like youngling pine trees, I guess.
Okay.
That he like it rolls over. And then they get into like the actual forest, and that makes a little more sense. They'd get away because he's like kind of weaving in between like oak trees and stuff.
But they're really thin and sparse.
And there's parts where like it's open enough that like if he just really laid on it, he would hit them.
Which again, he likes to stalk and he likes to play with his food, and he's a creep and he's a serial killer. But there's a separation of a fucking windshield. You're also wearing a mask, so there's nothing. I don't know. It doesn't make Michael is barely a character.
Yeah.
But I know that character better than to have so little motivation to just tease a victim by driving slowly behind them.
Yeah.
Like he would need
to
get out and kill him.
And it doesn't seem like he's driving slowly. Like I've seen that in movies where like you do purposely drive to cause that like anxiety of I'm being followed. This is not that. This seems to be a chase to kill them, but then he doesn't ever reach them.
No.
So he chases Tina, he chases Billy, and then he eventually, once they kind of fall away, he chases Jamie into these woods and crashes into a tree.
Right. Jamie runs to Loomis. Loomis then into the trees gives the speech.
Right.
From the clip about going home.
And because the Rachel's been dead forever. Tina, she has her one little heroic moment after the crash where Michael is going to stab Jamie. And so she, fights him away from her and gets stabbed herself. And then the kids run away and to Loomis, like they bump into him like they seem to in all these movies. But like Michael just stands there and like watches them run away after he stabbed Tina. There doesn't seem to be any reason why he doesn't then follow them, because the cops and everything hadn't shown up at that moment. Like the kids were just running away and then bump into Loomis and then the cops and ambulances are there.
It's something that I don't mind that the legacy sequels and even like H2O kind of reestablishes, is that there seems to be part of the mythos that develops during these movies, the Curse of Thorn trilogy, where Michael will not move quickly for any fucking reason. It's like, no, he can. He goes after Jamie Lee Curtis in one. He goes after Lori several times by like lunging. He's like rushing after her to like choke her to death.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, no, you then project onto the character that he is a zombie, that he will only slowly walk. You don't need him to do that, but now you're telling stories that require that, because you've baked it into the character, and I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah. So Loomis, yells to Michael in the trees to go back home. And then we move to our second big like finale beat here, which is we're at the Myers house.
Yeah. Jamie is in front of a vanity. There is like a city cop behind her, hiding behind the door. All of these cops are milling about in the yard in front. And what's funny is in our watch through, I was like, they can be seen. It's like supposed to be an ambush is what all the cops are saying. Is like, don't worry. Like the cop in the room is like, don't worry, Jamie. The second he walks in here, blam, I got him. You're safe with me. But then it cuts to the cops outside. Like the Sheriff Meeker's there and all these people are like wandering around. It's like, they're
making all this noise.
I was like, they can be both heard and seen from the street. And then Loomis goes, if I can see you, he can, or if I can hear you, he can hear you. And it's like, oh, thanks, bud.
Yeah.
You got it.
You got there. There's also like Loomis is pacing around in the house and the Thorn logo is, slapped on the wall for who knows what reason.
Sure.
Again, not explained in this film
not
in any way.
All.
Jamie, is sitting at the vanity brushing her hair, much like Judith Myers in the original Halloween.
Right.
Then Jamie gets a vision of Billy being attacked at the children's clinic by Michael. And so literally like all of the cops, all of them leave except for one that sits in the car outside.
Right.
And then Deputy Charlie, who's the one who's in the room with her.
In the room, yeah.
Like almost comically, they just all peel out. And Loomis is at that point, it's just like, well, now he's going to show up here. Like that's now the first time I watched this and like even in the rewatch, I thought, is Jamie playing like, does Jamie think the same thing that Loomis thinks of just like Michael's never going to show up because all of the cops are here and he's too smart for that. He's figured this out. He's never going to come here. I thought for a second that she was faking a vision so that all the cops would leave. Because in all the other times that we've seen her little visions in this movie, we always cut between her having her little freak out and then what Michael is doing. And we don't for this one. But then whenever the cops actually make it to the clinic, he has been there because people are killed. They wheel people out on gurneys.
Do you know what the big problem for me about all of this is, though? Why the fuck would cops listen to an almost octogenarian psychiatrist going, this little girl is having visions of a killer who escaped a mental asylum and he's in the children's clinic and he's killing the stutter boy. And they're all like, we believe you. The plot makes us care. And then they get in the car and drive away. The whole thing is hinging on people acting like nobody would fucking act.
Yeah.
Especially not cops. Like, because that's the thing is like Michael Myers is a legend in this town. He is the boogeyman. He's the shape, the stalker, the babysitter killer,
The nightmare man.
but he is not a fucking demon. No, like up to this point, nobody's been like, Michael Myers. I once saw Michael Myers in my reflection in the bathroom and he put his finger in my ear and gave me a wet willy, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't spit, it was pee. And like nobody's doing that. He's not
That's horrifying. Stop it.
Halloween 7, pee wet willy.
Loomis, trying to think. Loomis locks them in the upstairs room because Charlie's like, okay, let's get you to safety, Jamie. And Loomis is like, we're not leaving this house. He's coming here right now. And
I'll be fucked if I don't punch that bastard in the face.
because Loomis, I guess, well, we learned that he has set up a trap in this house, which is why he was here earlier.
Yeah.
And the short of it is Michael comes in, he bursts through the door. The cop shoots him like 11 times.
Yep.
And then Jamie gets away and he, I don't know why they had this. It's like a rope ladder already made up, ready to go out the window. Why did they have that? Was this the plan?
Okay. So you had mentioned that Loomis sets a trap. Here's the thing. Everybody who sets traps for Michael in this movie in any way to stop him from doing anything, they set up a trap that the only way that you can circumvent that trap is with mindless brute rage, which is the only thing Michael can control. It would be like if they set up a bunch of like traps that you needed to like be an expert lockpick or like needed to know computer science. No, they were like, okay, here's my trap. The only thing that can stop me is if somebody's freakishly strong and can't get shot to death. And it's like, that's the guy, man. Last movie, you call him evil on 2 legs. How the fuck did you forget that?
It's been a year. It's been a very long year.
A long year and a long handle.
But Michael uses that like rope ladder to hang Deputy Charlie out the window in like a cool little stunt. And then, it's this long chase scene through the house, him chasing Jamie. She goes down the laundry chute, which has a payoff because Loomis had locked it earlier.
Yeah.
This is the thing that everybody like raves about in this movie is this scene and how, how much it took to shoot and how they had to like build the laundry chute, but build it in different sections to where they could shoot some of it horizontally and move the camera. And I don't care about this.
What a low fucking bar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What a low fucking bar. You've heard the story about, and I'm going to go back to another horror franchise because that's the thing. This movie is whatever. It's not good and it bothers me tonally, narratively. Everything about this movie bothers me. But the thing that makes me mad about this movie is the people that defend it just because it's got Michael Myers in it and it's so edgy. And it's like, yeah. And it's like, no, there's nothing to defend here. Well, what about the laundry chute scene? That was technically comprehensive and it was done in a way that translated well on screen. In The Nightmare on Elm Street, they built a room set on a fucking crane arm that they could flip upside down so it would fill with blood. That's not very far timeline from here. So I don't want to hear that like, oh, well, they did a shot that's like claustrophobic. It's like, okay, 2001 Space Odyssey had come out by now. Like, there's nothing that you can say to make this your bar because it's what I said earlier. This is fine. It's technically competent, but it's nothing special.
No, I agree. Which is why, yeah, it's this whole bit happens. She gets away and Loomis grabs her.
Yep.
And begins using her to goad Michael along to follow him down into where he was trying to get him to 4.
Yeah.
Before Michael goes upstairs, there is a moment that he has with Loomis where Loomis tries to kind of beg him of like, you don't need to chase this little girl. You don't need to chase or kill these people anymore. We can fix you. We can solve this. We can whatever. We can take the evil away from you. We can take that. I've got her over here. I just need to show you in this other room here. And Michael doesn't fall for it, slashes Loomis, smashes him through a window and like throws him down. So now Loomis is like trying again, but now he's physically got her and is like goading him down into like the basement or just this. Like,
she tastes just like a dog. Oh, really? As a quick aside, dog. Also, in the attic of this fucking house is a bunch of the fucking victims.
Rachel makes a reintroduction here as a dead body.
Right. So does Max the dog.
And Mikey, he's hanging up.
So what that means is that in between killing these people in their respective homes and all of the things that he would then do, every single time he goes back home, puts them in the attic, and then goes out to do something else. There isn't enough time. It's a day.
Yeah, it's one thing whenever like the finale of your film is two houses that are like across the street from one another.
Right.
It's another when it's like, no, we're driving blocks. We're going out to the edge of town where there's a farm, and then we're going to come back here. And yeah,
it's
it
the
doesn't
thing I
make a lot
said
of
earlier
sense.
about making Snape the good guy. It's Michael stages victims. So what if he like stages them all in his attic? Awesome. And then they don't care about what the plot needs to get there. It's whatever it takes to shoehorn it in there.
Yeah. And there's, so there's the bodies. It's kind of like a weird shrine. There's a bunch of candles. There's the coffin, the 9-year-old girl's coffin. And Jamie gets inside of it to kind of like trick Michael, I guess. And she calls him
Uncle,
which he pauses at, much in the same way that Laurie using Michael's name in Halloween 2, he pauses at.
Or like when Corey Feldman calls him Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good pull for like weeks from now.
Yeah.
And this is where we get like, she asks him to take off his mask, which he does
weirdly.
And then he well, because the mask itself is like, it's one of those masks that split down the middle and the back.
Right.
And so he kind of peels it off, but it's like, I don't think that's what that mask in any of the previous iterations, that's not how that mask works.
Well, so yes and no.
Okay.
It splits like at the neckline, but like the base of your skull, that's solid. That's a solid back. It only splits in the neck.
Okay.
This splits like up the middle of the fucking head. It's the floppy. It's like a big floppy ball sack. It's a horrible mask. They should be ashamed.
They are. And that's why Michael cries in this scene.
He's like, he sees the mask for the first time, not wearing it. He's like, what did that river of Ozempic do to my mask?
It's ruined me.
Now. And then he's Loomis.
But yeah, she I don't know, tries to have a moment there. They try and humanize him. It doesn't work. He freaks out. This is where she
was like, no.
None of that. How'd you sneak this in here?
No character.
I didn't read this script. And this is where she runs downstairs, bumps into Loomis, and
who picks her up.
They go down into like the lower level of this room, and he tricks Michael into walking into the center of the room where he like pulls a thing on the wall.
It is a fucking Looney Tunes bed. The only thing missing is that it was like a chain net, not a piano.
Right.
And he's stopped. And then Loomis is like firing a dart gun, like a tranquilizer gun with like the fluffy darts.
Yeah.
In Halloween 1, Derek, when Laurie is about to be murdered for that final confrontation and Loomis rounds the corner, how many tranq darts does he get him with?
None.
How many actual bullets does he put in his body?
Oh, 6.
So he's perfectly resigned to just murder Michael Myers at any given point, right?
Yeah.
So why, when chained, would he not blow his fucking brain, cut his head off?
Okay, the more confusing bit on top of that is chains, darts to, I guess, not kill him. And then when that doesn't work, he doesn't pass out. He then picks up like a huge plank of wood and starts beating him and screaming, "Die, die, die." So it's like, do you want him to or not?
They took his gun away.
They must have.
He kept bringing it into the children's hospital, and they were like, Loomis.
Because he does. The first time he goes in that house in this movie, he whips that thing out.
Well, and that's the thing, is that in Halloween's 1 and 2, it's the same service revolver. He's got the revolver. And then in Halloween's 4 and 5, he has the same like kind of nickel plated, it looks like a 1911. I don't know too much about guns, but it looks like the same gun. And so it's like, I don't know. Die, you tranquilized monster.
Just odd. But yeah, he's hitting him with this 2x4. Apparently Donald Pleasance broke Don Shank's nose in this scene, like actually hitting him.
That's amazing.
And you know, Don Shanks
to experience having your nose broken by Donald Pleasance, specifically having your nose broken as by Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis would be great.
Yeah. But eventually Michael falls back and Loomis collapses on top of him. And
I think that's supposed to be poetic, but it's just fucking not.
Well, and this was supposed to be, the way it was kind of put in the script is like, this was the end of Loomis. Like, I don't know if he dies of like heart attack or just, you know, the stress of it all, but this is supposed to be that character's end. But unfortunately,
instead, what happens is that we go to the police station where Michael is assumedly in a cell. We don't see him because he's not wearing the mask.
No, he is. That's what I thought was hilarious. On my second rewatch, he is in the cell, staring at the wall. He is in full costume and the mask.
Okay,
they did not take him out of any of it.
Do not cut this out. I want me not knowing this to stay there.
Because it is ridiculous. Because all the cops, sheriff, they're standing there and just like mean mugging through the bars. I'm just like, man, we're going to take him to a you know, high profile prison where he's going to rot for the rest of his life.
Yeah. And instead what happens is they are all murdered because we see
Michael's twin brother.
God, no. We see a booted foot swing into a door. And I'm going to blow through this because it doesn't matter. All the cops are killed and Michael escapes because the man in black shows up. The only reason we know, by the way, that it's the man in black is because that's how it's credited at the end of the movie. And then the Loomis goes back in and everyone's dead. And cliffhanger.
Uh-huh.
Cliffhanger that wasn't set up at all. Doesn't matter.
But it has a Jamie gets to give the last closing lines that Loomis gave from Halloween 4.
Yeah, she goes, no! Yeah! But she does it just like that.
Yeah.
It is wild to me because the end of Halloween 4 feels really deserved. It feels like these people have been chasing him all night. They finally get him and they blow his fucking brains out. They blow him away. And it's like, oh, that's the end of Michael Myers. So and you know you're in trouble the second it picks up and he crawls through a dirty hole. It's like, all right, never mind. Yeah. Who fucking cares? But like the end of this movie, it's like we finally caught him. And you could do something interesting with with the movie starting with Michael in jail. People give this scene a lot of shit, but I think that the Halloween kill scene when a near 70-year-old Michael Myers murders the entire fire station is like, hey man, at least he's vicious.
Speaking of, because you hilariously pointed this out, that this is the second time in 2 years that the entire police force of Haddonfield has been murdered.
Yeah, he killed everybody in 4, which is why the lynch mob forms. And now, because of direct result of Michael Myers, everybody in the Haddonfield Police Department, including the sheriff, is now dead. So the question is, Halloween 6, if it were the next year, who's the police?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because, we'll get into that next week.
Yeah.
I didn't have fun with this.
No, I didn't. It's, you know, and I like to be negative. It's a funny thing. It's a funny frame when you're doing it as a joke.
Right.
And it would be the thing of like, oh man, not only is this not fun in any way, and you don't have a good conversation about it because you it's like, it's insulting how stupid it is, considering it's like if Leonardo da Vinci paints the Mona Lisa and then you find out Mona Lisa 2 is coming out next year. And it's like that woman who painted that picture of Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like a badger's asshole. And it's like, what is this? This can't be the sequel to the Mona Lisa. And it's like, oh no, that's where this goes. And it is wild to me that even Curse of Chucky sets up Cult. Which sets up the show. And there are ideas that get fleshed out that are fun, that connect with audiences, that people really loved.
Yeah.
And this one is just, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and I might be biased, I might be blinded, I might have higher expectations. That's kind of what this show is about. I don't know what to expect from these franchises. I don't have that storied history. You'd already seen Halloween 5. I thought this series I thought it was the Olympics. I thought it was the best. I thought you don't get better than Halloween. It's Michael Myers. The series is fucking called Halloween. It's got to be the best. Mm-hmm. So when Halloween 3 comes and goes and it's really fucking weird, I was like, it's weird, but it was a lot of fun. And you're like, yeah, that's what I love about this movie is that it's weird, but everything works at the end and it's like cohesive and it was a lot of fun. And then by the time you get to 5 and Curse, it's just, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Because I know the answer to this question. Resounding, for me, it's a resounding no. I do not recommend this movie. I don't think anybody needs to watch it. I think that if you take, because there's it's famous how many fucking timelines there are. And this one is 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
Right.
If you just took 1, 2, 4 as its own timeline, 4 is fine.
Yeah.
And it ends fine. Michael fucking dies.
Yeah.
And
then you get that cool little stinger of, but did something pass on? Did the evil pass on?
Right. Which Halloween Ends plays around with. Mm-hmm. And this is why I think that fan bases, and you and I have talked about this for years. We've talked about on the show that we like Red Letter Media, and they talk a lot about Star Wars. And Star Wars fans, I think, are the worst about this. But it is so toxic. The lengths that people will go to defend this schlocky crap because it's the mask that they like. Mm-hmm. That mask is my favorite design. Michael's my favorite of all the horror franchises you and I have watched. And again, I'm a newbie because I've just watched them like within the last year. It's the first time. So that means that when I say this is a fresh fucking opinion of all the killers, of all the masks, of all the characters that are larger than life. He's my favorite because one is so goddamn good and he's so fucking scary. And this undoes all of that. And it's like, this is a blemish of a handful of blemishes in this series.
Yeah.
I had fun talking to you about it.
Yeah. And I hope, I hope the discussion we've had here, I don't know, is enjoyable to listen to as well. And maybe people have other opinions, which we'd love to hear.
We would love if you like this movie. I realize I've talked a lot of shit, but if you like this movie, I'm literally dying to know why. I'd love to know what about this movie connects with you because it might frame it different for me. I might be able to find something that I didn't the first time. That's what this whole thing is about.
Yeah, I agree with the grand majority of everything you've said. I do not recommend this film. I think this might be the first one of the things that we've watched and talked about that I'm not recommending. I think I find reason to watch most things in a franchise, whether that's just to move us to the next piece. This one, I did not enjoy my rewatches. I was really trying.
Yeah, it has me genuinely worried for the next one.
I think the first time I watched this, if I look back at my Letterboxd and kind of read through my reviews, I think I liked it more than 4. Watching them like very close together back to back. And I think it had a lot to do with just how ridiculous Donald Pleasance's performance is in it. Mm-hmm. But watching it now, it's like Donald Pleasance, Loomis has some great little moments here and there. Most of his stuff is, we sit and we more than anything, we laugh at it.
Yeah.
Of just how ridiculous and over the top his performance is. And he's just yelling at this little girl who is also doing a pretty good performance through parts of this. And the other times it hits strangely. And I don't know, if that's just the way that it was written and having her be mute and then her having to try and figure out how to act through that.
Yeah.
Effectively. I hate pretty much every other character in this whole movie.
Well, I hate Loomis in this one, and that's that's part of the thing that falls flat for me is like in every other Halloween movie where Dr. Samuel Loomis is a part of it, he is unequivocally a good guy. It's like, yeah, he's hunting this person. It's a vendetta for him, but it's a vendetta to save the world from the evil that he feels responsible for ending. In this one, he's mean-spirited, and it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like I just want to fucking kill this guy.
Yeah.
It feels personal in a way that it hasn't before. His dialogue makes it seem like he's impatient and curmudgeonly and shitty, but there's no real reason for him to be that way because a year ago he wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I even the thing that redeems these movies typically didn't do it in this one.
Yeah. I think, like I said, the effects I think are pretty well done. What little you get to see of them. I don't like what we're doing with the score. The characters are abysmal. But not even in a way that the Friday the 13th characters are, where it's like, it's fun and interesting to see how they're killed off. This is just like, oh my God, thank you. We don't have to hear Spitz laugh anymore.
Yeah, it's those characters in the Friday the 13th. You're just getting a glimmer. You're getting a look into their life. We are picking up with them just as quickly as we are ending off with them because they don't matter. These movies require them. The Halloween films require them because they not only do they move the point along, but because Michael doesn't have a backstory worth telling. He was a kid who killed his sister, and then he's been in jail, and then he got out, and then he killed more people, and then he's in jail again. Jason is like, there's a mythos to that. Jason is the driving force of those movies. So when you don't have that, you need your characters to matter. And this one, it's like, I could have written better characters, and I'm a famous simpleton.
Do we think that this movie works better if they go with like Jamie being the killer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Anything that you could do in this movie would be better than doing what you did, which is hammering home, and it's Mustafa Khan, and it's hammering home the same tired story over and over and over again. He can't die. Why won't he die? He can't die. He's a force of nature. He's evil. He's evil on two legs. And it's like, yeah, we get that, but you have to do something different. Thanks for tuning into the Third Channel podcast. Please, if you have the time, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps.
You can follow us on social media at Third Channel Podcast, and you can find me online at @DRosenberg.
You can also reach out to us at thirdchannelpodcast@gmail.com, where we check every message we swear. Third Channel is hosted by PJ Minette
and Derek Rosenberg. Theme song and audio engineering by Fly Guy Ty.
The logo designed by Bell DeVelco.
Episode artwork by Nathan Walkington.
Keep it tuned right here to the Third Channel for all things horror. And remember, don't touch that dial. Egg salad and eggs.